other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Is it?
The only way
Really?
to start your...
It's 8 minutes after 6. Good morning. It's the 22nd day of October 2021, second day after curfew. How are you today? Actually, now is when the curfew will be tested. That lifting of the curfew. Twende, kaende. Brian, for example, will not be operating from anywhere else.
Apart from?
Elsewhere. He will be elsewhere. Ati curfew ni sangapi? Hakuna curfew? What's the problem? What is it? How are you doing, Ndu?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I saw people actually testing out this curfew hours this morning. At about 3:45 this morning, some people, clearly had not left the street since last night. It's quite interesting to see. Tonight will be madness.
Actually, it will be, but the thing that we should prepare ourselves for is for another lockdown.
And you know what's going to happen?
That's not coming, City.
There's going to be an increase in accidents. There's going to be an increase in crime.
Lockdown.
It will come.
Before August 2022. Zero chance.
I'm a betting man myself. And I'd like us to lay a bet that we are going to go into lockdown.
Another
How much would you like to lose?
We are likely to see a spike.
No.
Okay.
We will see a spike. Not likely. We will see a spike.
We are likely to see a spike because of whatever. But lockdown.
There will be a lockdown.
Hakuna kitu.
All right.
Well, at the curfew.
So I'll be handling the bets.
Yes.
Yeah?
I'll be handling the bets.
The only way you handle the bet is if you join.
I'm joined now.
You can't join to be treasurer.
Why have you dismissed me like that?
It's not dismissing. It's just stating a few facts.
Are you well, City?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Good to see you. Good
How
to
are you
see
doing, Eric?
I'm very well.
Super duper.
Yes, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, everybody from wherever you're tuned in. Happy Friday. Today we will have conversations and looking forward into the weekend and next week into what is happening. Okay, so imefunguliwa, campaigns zimeanza, zimenoga. So what else is happening? What's going to happen politically and socially going forward? We shall be looking at the newspaper headlines shortly, but let's look at our progress in vaccinating people and dealing with COVID-19.
Sure, let's do that. Looking at the most recent numbers from the Ministry of Health, we are looking at, of course, we know we are at 7.5 million what's available in the country. We are seeing, as of yesterday, if they can just tell us very quickly, that we did quite a number of things yesterday. But let's look at the cases first of COVID before we look at the vaccinations and how far we've gone. 67 new cases of COVID from a test sample of 2,988. That gives us a positivity rate of 2.2%. Recorded deaths at 5. And cumulative tests done in the country so far, 2.6 million. Now, between Mashujaa Day and yesterday, 200,000 more vaccinations have taken place, right? So we're now at 4,733,770. 4.8% of the country's population have now been vaccinated. We saw that, there's certain private sector, like, for example, Nairobi Marathon and Standard Chapter Nairobi Marathon is taking place in a few days. There's a call for a vaccine drive. So essentially, if you're going to run in the marathon, there's encouragement to have been vaccinated. So they're going to set up fund drives, vaccine drives over the next couple of days to have as many people vaccinated as possible. So we see a lot more people trying to come out and say, come out and get this done if you want to participate. So there's a suggestion and there's an urging to have more people vaccinated as much as possible. But still, the issue of taking the vaccination to the people is one that hopefully they'll catch on to as soon as possible, because it doesn't seem that it would work now any other way.
Someday soon, right?
We hope.
Okay. Now, in terms of other countries in the world and how they're doing?
Okay, so let's look at the global numbers. 243,262,880. Those are the numbers that we are looking at. We know in the United States, they had crossed the 700,000 mark of deaths by COVID-19. 750,744. Total number of deaths in the United States. They're now almost at 50 million cases of COVID. And even as they are vaccinating as many people as possible, getting to about 70% now of the population, things have kind of, hit the peak and they're coming down in both ways in terms of infections as well as vaccinations. India, 11 million shy of what the United States is experiencing. Brazil.
What numbers are India recording now on a daily basis?
Well, let's look at the total number of cases in India now, 34,142,441. Yesterday, India recorded 15,759. This is coming off of...
It's a drastic drop.
Huge drop.
A sharp drop, right?
200,000 cases per day kind of thing is what they were looking at about 4 months ago. 15,000 cases, it's really... has really dropped in terms of what they were facing before. 18,000 the day before, 14,000 the day before that. All right, so what we're seeing in other countries now is really not worrying about whether more people are getting infected, but protecting the population. And we're looking at heavily socially reliant countries, going out to eat, going out to have a drink, going to the gym, social places where people are always together. The thing now is, all right, you're going to come out to these places, be vaccinated. But they've opened them and said, we're going to live with COVID for some time. Australia, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, we're going to live with it. So what can we do? Protect ourselves. And insistence on that is what they're focusing on now.
It's 6:15. Let's take a break and take a look at the weather forecast for the city, the country, and other parts of the world. We will be looking at the newspaper headlines shortly. Are you online? Because we are live streaming on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you're online, say hello, say happy Friday, and then we'll be saying happy Friday and acknowledging your presence. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. (24/7) around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
And all we're in a society where men have become very lazy. They have made people's daughters become mamafuas. You know mamafua?
Yes.
That you come to a man's house, maybe you went out or you've come for a weekend. You find all his shirts in his laundry basket. Yeah. He was waiting for you to
come and clean
Are you
them.
his wife? Including his inner garments.
Right, yeah.
Ladies, stop doing that.
Let me
Those
tell
are
you.
wifely duties, and even some wives don't
That's
do them.
literally what I was about to say. I was wondering, there's even some wives who refuse to do that.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
Forgiveness is always conditional. Even before God, there's nothing like unconditional forgiveness.
Government doesn't pay you pension until you retire. In fact, they have no money for you. The day you retire, they look for it.
This country is punishing many young people. these young people are more susceptible to be deceived, to be taken advantage of, and they're more susceptible to be bought off.
Let us also talk about where we want our country to go. You know, we are a population of very young people.
We're in a state of capture. The judiciary is under duress. Parliament is in the pocket of the executive. You don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so.
By the way, let me tell you, these guys are so persuasive. I'm telling you, they can persuade you to sell your grandmother. I'm telling you, they can sell sand in the desert.
City, has anybody on this program said to you as a guest, say, oh, shut up, we don't want to be told what to do?
Spice FM. Spice up your life.
15 degrees in mostly cloudy in Nairobi this morning, highs of 25, chance of rain early today. It's 13 and clear in Nakuru, highs of 26 and lows of 13. 14 will be the low in a cloudy Nyeri, going to highs of 24. It's 12 degrees and mostly cloudy in Eldoret, highs of 24 and lows of 12. In Mombasa, sunny conditions will herald the morning, highs of 30 and lows of 23. And we'll look at sunny conditions in Malindi as well, currently at 25, going to highs of 30 and lows of 24. In Kisumu, it's partly cloudy at 19, highs of 29. And in Kakamega, partly cloudy conditions at 19, highs of 28 and lows of 15. Kampala 17 and mostly cloudy, highs of 28. We're looking at sunny conditions at 22 in Dar es Salaam, highs of 30 and lows of 21. Johannesburg is clear at 13, highs of 23 and lows of 12. Lagos, clear conditions for now at 25. We'll see lows of 24 and highs of 30. Rain showers in Kinshasa this morning at 24, highs of 31 and lows of 23. The winter is coming, and in Paris, it's 3 degrees this morning, going to highs of 14. London at 7 is clear. We'll see highs of 14 and lows of 6. Not to forget Beijing. It's sunny at 16, highs of 18 and lows of 2. It's Thursday night in New York, 19 degrees. Coming into Friday, we'll see highs of 23 and lows of 16.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
20 minutes after 6. A very good morning to you, Ndu.
Yes.
Can you see?
Yes. I can see clearly
Very
now.
good.
The rain is gone.
Who's online?
Okay. Abdi Kadir Abdallah says good morning, and he's tuned in from Komarok today. And people are being very, very deep this morning. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but okay.
Curfew has been lifted.
Could be the thing.
People can breathe.
Wow. Good morning, people. Turning from Gutari, and that's where Bishogore is. Abraham Lukoturo is tuned in from Kampala. Nams Wailisha says today is his rest day in Mogadishu. He can't sleep. He cannot sleep because he's waiting to listen to you. Hey, okay.
All right.
Engineer Aete is tuned in from Kisumu. And the Great Wall of Kino has a knock on it this morning. Odero Jr. is tuned in from there. And Kaptarakwa is where Mwalimu Dominic Chariot is tuned in from. Nanyuki is awake, yay! And that's where Kevin is. Shemongwai tuned in this morning from Nakuru. And Benapudo says, hello, tuned in from Ugunja. Amos Freeman, Kimilili tuned in loud and clear. Stanley Gasha is tuned in as well. Now, Juma Hamisi says, for me, I choose to rest or quit when the job is done. We rest when the job is over, and we quit when the job is done. Nothing half-half.
We rest when the job is over,
and
we quit when the job is done.
No half-half.
No half-half. I told you, people are being deep this morning.
Half-half. Reminds me of Little Red Riding Hood. Huffed and puffed.
Huffed and puffed and blew the house down.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, welcome
That's
to
not the Three Little
the
Pigs.
conversation today.
Okay, carry on.
See, you decide.
It's the Three Little Pigs. Huffed and puffed and blew the house down.
Yeah.
Little Red Riding Hood was the big wolf who was going to eat her.
No. Little Red Riding Hood was one of the 7 dwarfs.
Oh, good Lord. You need to go back to kindergarten. That was Snow White.
It wasn't Snow White and the 40 Thieves.
Those are different.
I know what you're
They're all
doing.
different.
I've seen you from far.
Is any of them a Bunwasi? Okay, City. Today's proverb.
Hey! Right. This Friday should come more often.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Again, Adigo proverb.
Okay.
Chamfupi chiriwa ni mure.
Chamfupi chiriwa
ni mure.
ni mure.
Something belonging to a short person is eaten by a tall person.
Oh yeah.
This proverb is actually very profound.
Akiwoishe. Chamfupi chiriwa ni mure. Something belonging to a short person is eaten
by
a taller person.
Yes.
It's okay.
Okay. Mnyonge ana haki.
Wengine husema mnyonge ana chake.
Let's look at the newspaper headlines. Do you have access to the Standard e-paper for only 20 shillings every day? You get access to premium content on standardmedia.co.ke. You get free Sudoku. Have you ever done Sudoku? Have you ever completed Sudoku? You know,
I was going to say I've started several times but never finished.
It's fun though, but my goodness.
Me, I have people in my household who finish Sudoku.
Like daily.
They finish it daily. In fact, they look at the newspaper. They
first
don't even
thing they
read.
go
They just
for
go to
is
Sudoku.
Sudoku.
And then they say, finished. Then
Let's
they
read
now
the
read
paper.
the paper.
Okay. And then you get access to the free crossword puzzle. Is that what you do, City? The crossword puzzle?
Crossword?
Yeah.
I'm not the one who does Sudoku.
The cryptic one?
I'm not the one who does Sudoku.
The Sudoku is a different person.
And I'm trying to tell you.
Do you pick the crossword?
The crossword and Sudoku in my mind are the same thing.
Called the cryptic crossword puzzle.
I do not do crossword puzzles.
What?
I don't.
So you get access to that if you like them. And then also you get access to archives of the Standard Media. Remember, this is the oldest media house in the Republic of Kenya. So the archives, proper.
Profound.
Yep. You get access to all that. 20 bob daily, standardmedia.co.ke, Standard e-paper. Okay. So the headlines, if I may start. The Standard, another blow to Uhuru. President's decision to reject nomination of 6 judges has come back to haunt him as the High Court sets in motion a process that will see them promoted after 14 days, marking yet another legal loss. Now, this one is interesting because a 3-judge bench of Justices George Dulu, William Musyoka, and James Wakiaga ordered the president to appoint the 6 judges within 14 days. Failure to which they will be deemed to have been formally appointed and sworn in by Chief Justice Martha Koome. The decision means that they have stripped the president of his powers in the process of appointing judges if he fails to act within the next 2 weeks. The ruling was a relief to High Court judges Professor Joel Ngoge, George Odunga, Agri Muchalule, Weldon Korir, who had been promoted. Now, that there is more than that. There is also Evans Kiago Makori and Judith Omange. President Kenyatta had also rejected the appointment of Judith and Evans Makori. The court held that the president was in violation of the constitution by failing to appoint the 6 over integrity questions, which had already been handled by the JSC when they conducted the interviews. The president had no power to reject the 6 judges, since his role is only to facilitate their appointment as the head of state. He also disobeyed a court order that had compelled him to appoint all the 41 judges who were recommended by the commission. According to the judges, there had to be a way out of constitutional stalemate created when the president appointed 34 in June and left out the 6, because the constitution does not contemplate a situation where the appointing authority refuses to perform his functions. Interesting. What is the role of the president in this? The president comes in as not head of government, but as head of state. As head of state, you're given now those powers to appoint. You appoint the chief justice. You appoint the judges. You appoint as head of state. But the selection is done by an independent Judicial Service Commission. When the Judicial Service Commission comes to you and says, these are the people, then your job basically is, as head of state, sign. That's what the judges have said. And now that he didn't do that, there's nowhere in the Constitution which had actually foreseen a head of state refusing to do his job. So now, Mr. President, appoint them within 14 days. If you don't appoint them within 14 days, then we declare here that they stand appointed. Mr. President, the actual swearing in is done by the Chief Justice. She swears in judges. She swears in,
she even swears
Constitutional
you in.
Convention members. She even swears the president in.
Yes.
Bas. So now, Chief Justice, you can swear them in after 14 days.
Do the thing.
What?
Good. It's a
What?
Good it's a good thing. You do recall the position I've had on such matters, that every time we have something that looks like a delightful tiff between one of the three arms of government, what we are doing is we are expanding our knowledge of the Constitution and the interpretation of the laws. So these are good things. If everything just went on smoothly, we wouldn't know. Remember, this has been a subject of debate for a long time. So if this is where we are at now, I'm waiting for the AG to come in and then tell us what he thinks, because the AG will come into this, and I'm sure he'll give us his interpretation. So we will learn yet some more.
It'll be interesting to see, though, that regardless, head of state, head of the executive, head of government, that the High Court that can actually come and basically topple whatever it is that you have said. Okay, it'll be interesting to see. Speaking of things that have gone bad, 790 million shillings essentially seem to have been tossed out the window. 790 million worth of PPEs held by KEMSA has expired, MPs have been told. Personal protective equipment valued at 790 million held by the National Medical Supply has expired, a parliamentary committee was told yesterday. KEMSA acting CEO Edward Njoroge told the National Assembly Committee on Health that the expired PPE are part of the 5.4 billion shillings worth of equipment that the agency procured, but which have remained at its stores to date. Njoroge told lawmakers that the items expired while KEMSA was still waiting for an approval from the cabinet to dispose of them at current market rates. After getting the cabinet approval to dispose of the PPE finally, we found out that the items valued at 790 million had expired. How nice. But we are doing an assessment to see if some can still be used. The full PPE kit has an overall gloves, face shield and shoe covers. KEMSA procured the consignment at a higher price owing to the high demand when Kenya first recorded the first coronavirus case in March last year. The authority is said to have procured 5,000 N95 masks at 1,300 shillings a piece against the market price of 700. It also bought N95 masks at 700 a piece against the market price of 450. This is another kind of mask.
Which market?
Market price. Kenya market price.
When they say market price, whose market are they referring to?
That if you went anywhere else in the market, you would be able to find it at this price. Okay? So clearly what they're trying to tell you is that these prices were inflated. All right? Kenya holds stock valued at 5.4 billion from the original procurement of 7.6 billion. This is after stock of 2.2 billion was sold before the process was stopped by the EACC. KEMSA has paid 4.7 billion to COVID-19 billionaires, while it still owes supplies worth 2.9 billion.
This is a very funny story. Look, at what PPEs are those again? Gloves, face shields,
gowns, and shoe covers.
Shoe covers.
Yes.
They expired.
Yes.
What do you mean they expired?
I also don't know what to mean because I don't understand.
How does a face shield expire, City? Explain.
Sorry?
You are nodding your head like you're about to tell us. Yes, they do.
They do.
The face shield.
Explain.
Everything. Let me just start. Okay. Everything that's produced has an expiry date. Meaning, there's a time within which you must use it for it to be effective.
All right.
Beyond a certain period of time, the effectiveness cannot be guaranteed.
Okay.
So that's the period where you say, this thing has expired.
All right.
All right? Okay. Now, you're asking me specifically about the PPEs, the
Yes.
I even don't believe those things exist. You ask my opinion.
They were not in a warehouse.
They are
somewhere.
not there.
That's a good angle.
They are not there.
That's a good
This
angle.
is an opportunity to say, these things have to be destroyed because they've expired. Those things went a long time ago.
They were bought, somebody pocketed the money.
That
finished.
thing went.
That's a very good angle.
They actually
went.
How do you say, they got authority to destroy them, so they've destroyed them?
We've been waiting for a year. Do you remember in this very same room we said, hold on a minute. People,
Even
medical
Muthui
doctors are
was telling
worried
them,
about
please release those
PPE.
things.
Do you remember? Medical doctors could not get PPE in the counties. And we were saying, what? See, the ones at KEMSA that you people are holding for investigation, release them.
We talked ourselves hoarse in the studio regarding those things.
Muthui Kagwe himself pleaded
Please give us.
with the KEMSA, release those PPEs.
And they kept
They've
saying,
expired.
oh, you know, the court.
They're being held. They're bonded because investigations are going on. Now, face masks have expired.
Face shield.
Face shields,
No,
actually,
leave
not
the
masks.
face mask even. That one
Shields.
you can even try and understand because it's cloth, maybe it has worn out, etc., etc.
Worn out by what?
Wait, now I'm just trying to
Go
help
on.
your argument.
Yeah.
Face shield, almost plastic.
Yeah.
It's expired.
It's expired.
It can expire.
And the other things were what? Gumboots.
Shoe covers.
And shoe covers.
Yeah,
Overalls. Gloves.
And
Gloves
gloves
they
have
can get
expired.
holes.
They can expire.
The latex ones.
In a year.
Look, all those
Bangi.
Eric, those things don't exist. Remember, here I'm throwing caution to the wind. I'm not even trying to mollycoddle it and say, perhaps. There's no perhaps if might be here. KEMSA.
Didn't exist.
This.
After all, they didn't show us. Did you ever see a picture somewhere?
Look.
A room where they were purported to be.
These guys are going to end up showing you things that have been discarded and things which were never, ever, ever going to be used until these are the things that... Because do I know what an expired glove looks like? I don't. Do I know what an expired face shield looks like? I don't.
What's the one that has been incinerated?
Do I know?
It's burnt.
Do I even know what? Yes, or a foot.
The ash belongs to a glove.
Do I know? And you tell me this is an expired foot shoe cover. Do I even know what they look like? I have no clue.
These people have tried, sir.
Hey, this country. 26 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice. (24/7) around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
The opportunities are here. Project X, the biggest youth empowerment project in Africa for young creatives, is here. Are you a model, a fashion designer, or a performing artist? Then this is the opportunity you have been waiting for. Register now for the opportunity of a lifetime by following @Opportunities Are Here on Instagram and the Opportunities Are Here on Facebook for more information and the registration link. Online selections begin on the 12th of October and registration closes on the 22nd of October. The opportunities
All right, a few minutes after 6:30, let's see what it looks like. In and outbound on Mombasa Road in some parts, especially around the Maradima, that's where we have a little bit of traffic. And then coming on from the Way Bridge out towards Cabanas, it's, rumbling on, but nothing crazy right now. Jogo Road is also piling up, getting towards the roundabout at the City Stadium, but not too terrible. Huru Highway, of course, it's piling up some as well. Pangani, that whole area coming in from the Thika Superhighway, not too bad right now, actually, folks, as what it normally is. But we're likely to see that pick up. Kiambu Road also picking up some as well. Westlands, that whole area. Okay, so what are we going to say right off the bat this morning? Use the bypasses, southern, eastern, northern, looking pretty good right now. And the Red Hill Link Road coming out of Westlands, that whole Mudangari area going then towards James Gishuru and then out onto Waiyaki Way. Use the Red Hill Link Road. It'll take you out into the city much quicker. And there's the option. Smooth sailing this morning, going in and out of your business. Let's talk in a bit. SpiceFM on Twitter. Let's see what it looks like in your neck of the woods as traffic hour gets into full swing. Text as well on 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
23 to 7. City, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at an article on page 10 of the Business Daily. Reconsider Uhuru's order on CRBs. This is an article that has been written by Jaindi Kisero.
Okay.
Summary says, when it comes to fintechs, he supports the president completely. He says, these particular fellows, as far as he's concerned, these are the merchants of Venice. Okay? They functioned, I'm quoting him, with opacity. It required regulation. But when you throw down that caboodle with other users of the CRB, said you then put the lender in a difficult position because you're asking the lender to actually fork out money without actually understanding the borrower's financial position. Yes. Okay. And he says it's something that needs to be reconsidered because, one, it may end up actually harming the would-be borrower more than the would-be lender. But this is my take on it. The evolution of banking, from where I sit and as I see it, moved from where your bank manager and the people who worked in the establishment where you banked got to know you and understood the trends of your business because they visited your business or they knew you. They knew your sources of income. And the manager was given some leeway in determining whether they could actually accept to lend you money based on the usual parameters that are being considered now. Okay? Now, the moment CRB did not come before, should we say, technology. Now, when technology came in, now parameters were determined by a certain, what is the word that they use for it? There is a nice technical word that is used to determine a set of parameters, a matrix. Right? See, I was looking for it and I found it. So
you're doing well.
Yes, details would be fed into the equipment or the gadget, and the gadget would more or less determine whether you qualify or not.
To gauge you.
The gadget would gauge you. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, as an aspect of human element that would come in at some point, because you could say, well, excuse me, why am I not qualifying? There'd be an appeal. But what it did was, beyond writing and saying, giving you a recommendation, the person who actually sees you and manages your affairs on a daily basis didn't have very much of a say.
No.
Now, the question that I raised in my mind when I read this was, are we saying that the default rate was higher in the times when the bank managers and the people within the bank had the mandate to determine this? Or are we seeing that the default, COVID aside, rose when now it was the equipment that was determining whether somebody should actually get a loan or not? What am I saying? I'm saying this. Banking is about trust. It's not about whether you have a logbook or whether you have land as collateral. It's about trust. Okay? And the only way a bank makes money is when they sell their money and we buy it at an agreed upon price. Okay? But the thing about technology, it removes the human element, and that human element sometimes is extremely important in determining the sort of person you're dealing with.
Sure.
So I am saying that, yes, what the ND is saying makes sense, but banks are now going to have to reconstituting that process of actually understanding your customer at a more personal level. Instead of saying, you're my customer, apply.
And apply the same set of rules to all customers.
Yes. Take this thing through that process and let's see. Processes are just that, processes. Okay? Now, the human element cannot be removed in a serious decision-making process like lending someone money. Or the importance that is given should be more than it is currently given. My view.
So Jaindi's argument is if we stop reporting people who have defaulted loans of less than 5 million shillings to the CRB, that is actually hurting
It'll hurt
the borrower.
Yes. Because the lender will be reluctant to give money to somebody whose history they don't fully understand. And I'm saying lazy attitude.
Yeah.
This is somebody who banks with you every single day. You have a very clear idea what this person does.
You know their habits.
You know them. You know who these people are.
There are circumstances also. I mean, you don't just default.
No, people don't wake up in the morning to just default.
Yeah, we've gone through a rough patch. So if you're an MSME and you've basically started defaulting, the conversation here should be taking place with the financial institution.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. Yes, I have another loan, but this is what happened. So I had taken a loan and then I had to shut down the business for 6 months and all these things, and I accrued costs. You can explain yourself to a financial institution. That is not lazy.
No, it isn't. And you know what is also positive? Is that banks have actually, I have observed that they have taken that particular position of calling their own customers and saying, folks, this is the situation you're in.
Yeah.
Can we have a little chat about this? That, to me, maybe I'm a bit traditional here, but that to me is good banking. You know your customer.
Yep.
There's somebody you've been with for some time.
Banks will be forced to do this. If the National Treasury does what it is claiming that it wants to do, that is reduce domestic borrowing, then banks will be forced to have that conversation.
Yes.
Because they'll have cash.
And they
have nowhere
not know what to do with it.
They have nowhere to give it to.
Do you see that happening? Do you see our government reducing
domestic borrowing?
Do you see it happening?
Well, you know.
Okay. Right.
There's a story about NCPB. Let me just read that story. NCPB seeks 10 billion shillings to buy maize and other foodstuff as reserve stores run dry. Don't focus on the second part of that story, of the headline. Let's just focus on the positive. The country is staring at an acute food shortage after it emerged that maize reserve stores are empty. Don't focus on that part. The National Cereals and Produce Board yesterday urged the National Assembly Agriculture Committee to urgently come up with interventions to avert a food crisis. Consequently, the board is seeking 10 billion shillings to purchase 2.8 million bags of local white maize at 2,500 per unit, 50,000 bags of beans, 30,000 bags of green grams, and 100,000 bags of rice. Other foodstuffs in the proposed budget are 20,000 bags of powdered milk, 20,000 cartons of canned beef. The board is further seeking to purchase 5 million pieces of jute bags at 1 billion shillings. Are you seeing now that's a positive part?
Okay.
Okay? Uko na magunia?
We'll buy.
1 billion shillings, NCPB. You have beans. You have maize. You have rice. NCPB will be buying shortly if they are given. The National Food Reserve stock is totally depleted, and there is need, therefore, for immediate build-up of requisite stocks to address the precarious national food and nutrition security status. This is according to NCPB Managing Director Joseph Kimote. The committee, chaired by Moiben MP Silas Tiren, questioned the source of grains currently being distributed by the government to drought-hit arid and semi-arid areas. In September, the president declared the drought a national disaster. MPs are also questioning how NCPB board, chaired by Muthui Ringo, spent 7 billion shillings on non-core mandates after top officials said the money was used to pay debts to millers, to pay agencies, to pay transporters, to pay other players, all between 2017 and 2019. The amount was part of 18 billion shillings that was owed to the board by various state agencies. So now let's focus on the first part of this story. NCPB wants to urgently buy food because the stores are
empty.
Dry.
Okay.
Nobody's asking. So,
how do we get here?
The reason why we have a National Cereals and Produce Board is primarily to ensure stabilization of prices in the market, and number two, to ensure that we have food security. It's a food security instrument. Now, food security instrument is saying we are empty. That means the market has just been, and the CEO is there talking to an agriculture committee chairman.
This is nonsense. This is really utter nonsense. How do you have such a conversation now, and you actually have the gumption to actually bring up this conversation in Parliament, when we know year in, year out, there's always some part of this country that has an overproduction? We know. You have a situation where farmers are struggling to sell their produce. And you are in charge of strategic food reserves. You're telling me that a mechanism to ensure that when you have a bumper crop, this is actually taken care of. Man, this is something that is as old as time.
You know what?
Huh?
No, I don't.
I mean, in all honesty, that person should not even have that job. Somebody else should be given that job, because strategy means you foresee.
You plan.
Yeah, not now.
You plan.
Every day, even when things are good, you're planning for that evil day. These ones are waiting for the evil day to arrive, and then they're talking to us about requiring money to do this work.
You're a store. And you don't have things in the store.
Your job by definition is to keep things aside. As in, your job by definition, reserve, store, is to keep things aside. That's what you're supposed to do. So you've not been doing it. Why are you there?
What have you been doing all this time?
You're supposed to store.
You know, this issue that we've been discussing regarding the 12 counties that are facing imminent danger of starvation, where people are facing imminent danger of starvation. The news ought to have been how our food reserves are actually being used to cater for this. Did you read even one line of news in the media in this country telling you about how the strategic food reserves have come in to aid these Kenyans? Did you hear? No. We didn't. Or maybe you guys did you? So, why do we have strategic food reserves? What is it for?
But we don't.
Why don't we just scrap it?
You don't have reserves.
And get rid of everybody who works in that system, because
we'll not be doing anything anyway.
What on earth is this?
You know, they never gave them the brief of
the
strategic part. Strategic means something. It means that you are forecasting, you're being very strategic in how you do your things. That word, strategic, is like independent in IEBC.
That is strategically being incompetent, because
it is like Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Independent where?
Yes.
Strategic food reserve. Strategic what?
Where? Even reserve. You can
what reserve? I mean, you go to the stores, you find mice playing catch up.
So now you're looking for this emergency fund from the government so that you can buy food from the population. I don't understand.
Are you not supposed to do this?
I can't deal.
It's supposed to be an ongoing process.
Let me tell you guys something. You know, I'm just doing an excess. We are in October. We are going to have elections in 10 months' time.
Precisely 10 months' time.
Do you know what the president was doing in Wanguru International Stadium the other day? How the president's speech ought to have ended is, fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, with those few remarks, it is now my great pleasure to declare the 2022 campaign season officially open. All those things. How many billions of shillings did he talk about?
26.2.
That is campaign money. How much are we talking about here that they're looking for? 10 billion shillings. This is campaign money. It will come out. This is it. Don't look at you, do we have food? Is it? No. Where is campaign money going to come from? These are all the places. And this is not yet the end.
So all this
Wait.
Nabado, you'll see
all
things
this
being
air
released.
I've been expelling is just hot air for nothing.
This is...
More will be released.
It will happen.
For projects.
We will buy, somebody will import, we'll open the importation window for a while because, I mean, we're in an emergency.
So you're telling me that essentially this story of the expired PPEs and EEEs...
790 million.
798 million shillings.
It's opened a window for some new importation.
Of course.
Allah, it was being waited for.
Of
It was
course.
being waited for, CT.
We are going to have a 2 billion shilling facility in Embakasi to package our vaccines. 2 billion shillings.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say, I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us to assert our will.
When the legislature are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi la Wokoh is Jeshi la Wokoh?
I can't say it very well. Jeshi la Wokoh.
And everyone knows. Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
City, what else are you looking at?
You know, I'm actually looking at very many things, but this one struck me. Again, Business Daily, front page headline: MPs reject state bid to control hospital charges.
Right.
People were spoken to. Speaker says Health Committee did not show proof that it considered views from stakeholders.
Right.
Parliament has rejected a government-backed bill that sought to control medical bills and doctors' fees after health sector lobbies protested their views had not been taken into account. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muthui said yesterday that the Committee on Health did not show proof that it had considered views from stakeholders and reasons for ignoring their input. I'm not going to read anything more. we're back to the drawing board.
Let's just see what will come
Sit
out
back
of it.
and enjoy
the ride,
being
folks.
charged out of your eye sockets. Should you make the fatal mistake of falling ill in this delightful country of ours,
Sheesh,
and
man.
you have to seek private.
So the health
care.
committee
Yep.
did not take in views from the stakeholders.
No, the speaker said they didn't show
There's no proof.
They didn't present proof.
And the stakeholders are complaining and saying we were not given
We're
an
not
opportunity
consulted on this matter.
to.
We would have had.
And
we
yet
been
this is a
consulted.
public participation where you think if you're the chair of this health committee and your name is Sabina Wanjiru Shege and you're the woman rep for Muranga and you want to be the governor and you want to be the one running health in the devolved unit of Muranga, the thing that you want to do is consult the stakeholders. You would know who they are.
I would assume so.
You would know that the stakeholders are the private sector players and also the faith-based sector players and the patients.
But you see, the question that you actually ask is, do you really imagine that they went through this process without talking to
these people?
Oh, come on.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, I mean, do you really think that that's actually what happened?
No.
Well, it's possible that actually is what happened, but not for lack of knowing that that's what needs to happen.
Or
we're not talking about people who don't know their work.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about members of a committee who don't actually understand the import of this situation.
Yes.
They do.
They do.
One of the members of the Health Committee in the National Assembly has served as Director of Medical Services,
Yes.
has served as PS for Health, has served as Chairman of the Kenya Medical Association, has been a doctor for many years. Dr. James Nyikal.
You're telling us he doesn't understand these things.
He does.
Kuna mambo hapa. There's a story in the online edition of the Standard. Male student, 17, dies in girls' secondary school dormitory.
Oh dear.
A 17-year-old student of Gadiroine Boys High School died after he was allegedly assaulted for illegally entering a dormitory at Muthui Girls High School in Githunguri, Kiambu County. The male student, alongside 5 of his schoolmates, had on Wednesday night forced their way into their neighboring school, prompting the girls to raise the alarm. George Nganga Karanja, the manager of the security firm providing services at Muthui Girls High School, says the female learner's screams attracted the attention of security guards, other learners and staff members. Karanja says 5 of the boys managed to escape, but the 17-year-old was cornered and beaten up by the group. He was rushed to the Kagumo Level 4 hospital. While unconscious, he died upon arrival. Police visited the scene and recovered wood planks believed to have been used in the teenager's lynching. Investigations are underway. The 17-year-old boy's body was moved to the Kigumo Level 4 hospital mortuary. Boys allegedly sneak out of their dormitory, cross the fence, get into their sister school. The girls see them. They don't know that these are boys from Komodai. They scream. It attracts the security. It attracts members of staff. It attracts teachers. They all come out and they're thinking, whoa, these are molesters who are coming to attack our girls. They deal with this one perpendicularly. He dies. And that's when they discover, oh no, it's a student from the neighboring boys' school.
The prophecy has come true. The violence that we have reported in this studio in the past has been violence, somebody injured. And we're saying there'll be an escalation of situations of violence which ultimately end up in death.
And voila.
And voila. And there'll be more voila.
There will.
We are not paying adequate heed to this mental health situation that we have in this country.
Yeah.
People are
and
not...
pent-up anger.
Yes.
The anger.
Because by the time, this is one person,
first. Yeah.
and all of you here with all the planks and all, and you're beating the person senseless.
Yes.
You have subdued the person. You are not thinking, all right, so he's been subdued.
Let's
arrest him.
No.
And call and take them to the police.
No.
You continue beating.
Yes. Let's keep pounding this person. And now they're dead. And now, guess what? You know something? It becomes a police case. And now, you're murder suspects.
Exactly.
Oh my
It's a
goodness.
complete change.
It
Now imagine.
changes.
It changes your life completely.
Yeah. You cannot say self-defense because I don't know. I do not know. So, one last one before we go to the top of the hour.
Quickly? Okay, so another worrying one coming out of the courts. A priest has sexually abused me, according to a murder accused. A shocking revelation was made in the High Court yesterday on why Catholic priest Michael Kengo, 43, was killed. In a confession presented to court, the prime suspect, Michael Muthui, 26, said he slashed the priest for reportedly sexually abusing him and infecting him with HIV. Mr. Muthui said the priest drugged him before he molested him in a rented house in Mbeera sub-county. The college student was charged with killing Father Kengo in Makima location on the night of October 8th and 9th, 2019. While pleading guilty in the capital offence, Muthui said he cut the priest's neck with a panga, killing him on the spot before stashing the body in a plastic bag. He said he put the body in the boot of a car and took it to the banks of River Mashamba, where he buried it in a shallow grave. Muthui said he acted in anger because the priest took advantage of in Machakos County in 2017.
So he is saying this in mitigation.
Yes.
At the end of the case.
Yes.
Had he raised this before?
This is interesting because then during cross and such, it's not clear whether this information came out. But the fact that it's also being reported as shocking is that it came at the end before then determination.
Sentencing.
Right. Even before determination. Yeah, so the verdict is not even out yet. Right? So before verdict comes out, he's asking for leniency and he's saying that, this is the reason why all of this happened. This guy molested me. This guy abused me and attempted to kill me even.
And not because he's dead. There's no way of verifying this. And coming out like that, I mean, a priest molested a boy. It already shifts the conversation a certain way. Oh my goodness. Keep it right here for more. Coming up in the next hour. Good morning. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The government last evening received 500,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Health CS Muthui Kagwe had said by the end of next week, the government targets to have enough doses in the country to hit the 10 million mark of vaccinated citizens come December. The CS further advised Kenyans to be more vigilant in observing the laid-out COVID-19 protocols to aid conquer the pandemic, even as the dusk to dawn curfew was vacated. As of yesterday, a total of 4.7 million vaccines had so far been administered across the country. Of this, 3.4 million were partially vaccinated, while those fully vaccinated were 1.3 million.
In the country, the vaccine supply situation has now been greatly improved. In the next 2 weeks, we shall have received and supplied all doses required for us to receive our target of 10 million people by December. Later this evening, in fact, we shall be receiving an additional 500,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines through the AVAT mechanism to bolster our efforts. We also hope to receive even more vaccines over the next few days and weeks through different mechanisms.
Herders and pastoralist communities are counting losses after losing their animals, partly due to the ongoing drought in Marsabit County. Over 500 herd of livestock have died, while 100,000 more are at risk as more water puddles continue to dry up. Nearly 200,000 people require humanitarian assistance as the drought situation in the county continues to bite. Marsabit Deputy Governor Solomon Gubo says he has received a report on the situation and they are working out strategies to solve the matter.
Just learned that there are some animals dying in Civicon, that is around Mount Kulal. Some animals dying around Kana because of a lack of pasture and so on. That is going on, but I think from the report that I have, around 500 animals, shorts of animals, that is goats and the sheep have died so far. If there's no food, there's no water, there is conflict.
Elsewhere, County Chief Officer Livestock Wario Suri said with 2 failed rain seasons, the farming situation is likely to get worse.
tropical livestock units are at risk of drought, and this was estimated in August. So now animals are already dying. A number of them have been constrained at home, and they are competing with the households, for feed. People are giving actually what they are feeding on to their animals.
The Ministry of Sports and Culture will name its first sports person welfare conference after the slain Olympian Agnes Tirop. This was announced by CS Amina Mohammed, who visited Tirop's family in Nandi County, where the athlete will be laid to rest tomorrow at her parents' home.
Huyu ni ambassador ambaye ameuliwa sasa. Yeye hufanya kazi zaidi ya hata ambassadors wengine. Sababu anatoka kila mara akitoka yuko na flag ya nchi yetu. Kila mara akitoka akishinda anthem ya nchi yetu inaimbwa. Na kila mara nilipokuwa nikimwona alikuwa na smile kwenye uso wake. Akisema sasa
alikuwa bado mchanga. Alikuwa bado anaenda mbali. Mnaona juzi alikimbia huko Germany akavunja record.
Burial plans are in top gear even as police continue to hold her husband Ibrahim Kipkemoi, who is a main suspect in her murder. Tirop was found dead in her Iten home with stab wounds on her stomach and neck. A post-mortem examination done by 2 pathologists at the Iten County Referral Hospital mortuary also revealed that she was hit on the head with a blunt object. A 14-year-old student from a primary school in Hayaga, Kakamega County is nursing serious injuries on his genitals after he was allegedly beaten up by his teachers for allegedly having a phone in school. According to the boy's mother, her son, who is also a prefect at the school, was found with a phone among 20 other students who were allegedly punished by the teacher.
Ni walimu 4 ambao walichapa mtoto wangu, na nilipata ripoti kutoka hata kwa walimu wengine wakisema mtoto wako amechapwa vibaya, peleka mtoto hospitali. Watoto wasikuwa wanachapwa vile wamechapa mtoto wangu. Mtoto amefura kila mahali, hata kuketi hawezi keti, kutembea imekuwa shida.
A Labour court has ordered the National Police Service to reinstate a senior police officer who was sacked 6 years ago after failing the vetting process. The officer had been found guilty of professional misconduct of an incident that involved her husband, Wilfred Mbithi, and also a police officer and a minor. Employment and Labour Relations Judge Maureen Onyango directed NPS to reinstate Superintendent Regina Mbithi, who was in charge of the Highway Patrol Unit based at Traffic Headquarters in Nairobi. And in business news, KCB Group has agreed to waive 430 million shillings in interest penalties. The lender slapped the National Cereals and Produce Board for defaulting on a loan. The National Assembly's Agriculture Committee heard that the bank had also committed to temporarily freeze interest chargeable on the 3.6 billion shillings loan with effect from July 1st, 2021. The cash-strapped NCB used its assets as collateral to secure a 3.6 billion shillings loan to finance part of the fertilizer subsidy in the year of June 2017, but failed to repay. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
There is inbound traffic on Mombasa Road, quite some going out then towards Cabanas. After Cabanas, though, it's not an issue. It'll then pick up as you get to the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, heading out into the city centre via Uhuru Highway. Uhuru Highway is where we see the most of the traffic today. It's also building up in industrial area. If you're in that area, take it easy. You should be out without any issues. That circuit of Lunga Likoni, not too bad right now. Okay, Langata Road also has built up quite some as you get to the Wilson Airport and then out towards the Timor roundabout and feeding off into Huru Highway. Coming off the Thika Superhighway is actually not too bad today, guys. It looks pretty good. Kiambu Road also joining there, going towards Muthaiga Square. So not too bad. Ngara and then on to the Globe Cinema overpass. We have some traffic into the city. Coming out of Westlands as well has piled up quite some. But folks have gotten it, are using the Red Hill Link Road. This is a good thing. Be like folks, and then talk to us on SpiceFMKE on Twitter and text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
How are you doing? Good morning to you, wherever you're tuned in. Collins Rono, tuned in from Kaptumo. Bitap Keben.
Okay, yeah, that one.
Kaptumo, Bitap Keben village in Nandi County. All right. Kaptumo, Bitap Keben village in Nandi County. Haya. City, today's Digo proverb.
Chamfupi chiriwa ni mure. Chamfupi chiriwa ni mure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a sing-song lilt to it at the end, but I am not certain, so I'm going to just read it as though I'm reading something in Kiswahili.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it mean?
It means something belonging to a short person is eventually eaten by a tall person.
Unless the short person eats it quickly.
That usually is useful. If you are short and you're dilly-dallying with it, rest assured. I smile because I'm thinking of eating out in the open and enjoying the sunshine, and you forget that they are avian creatures.
Who are also interested.
Yes, and whose vision and sight is much clearer than yours.
Yes.
So as soon as you have it in your hand, they will have spotted it from God knows where, and they'll swoop, and just as you are turning, gone.
And it happens all the time.
Oh, it happens all the time. It's actually a feat worth watching.
So have you now seen how people put up those strings?
Yes.
So what do the strings do?
Apparently, it has a glistening effect, especially if the sun is out.
Uh-huh.
So it's usually fishing string, because fishing string is shiny.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fishing string.
And it's fine.
Right. So when it hits when the light hits it, apparently it bounces off the vision of the birds, so they can't then pinpoint their target.
But also, a fishing string is strong. It'll trip you. It is very easy for the bird to fly into it. It's if there is any such thing, it's a string wall. Meaning,
it's a string wall.
Yes.
Deters the birds from
it'll halt your progress.
Coming in quickly.
Yes.
And going back on.
Blocks the escape route.
Yes.
Right.
The getaway vehicle. Okay, now, this drama that was taking place over former Kenya Power boss Samuel Gishuru and former Finance Minister Chris Okemo. Remember, they are wanted by the island of Jersey to go and respond to some issues there. And so there's an extradition request that has been placed to the government of Kenya. And for the last 10 years, this thing has not been actioned. Why? Because the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Attorney General have failed to agree on who should take charge of extradition proceedings against the two former senior government officials. Their presentations before the Supreme Court yesterday escalated the fallout between the two sides, at both maintaining that they are the ones to take charge of extradition proceedings against the former finance minister and the former Kenya Power boss. They are wanted in the United Kingdom's Jersey Island to face charges of money laundering and misconduct in public office. The DPP, through his assistant Daniel Mule, told the Supreme Court that extradition proceedings are criminal in nature and it's his office that can place the request before a magistrate to issue the extradition orders. The AG's office is expressly forbidden from performing any criminal functions. The DPP was within the constitutional limits when it initiated the process, and we are asking the court to allow us to continue with our job. According to him, the Court of Appeal misinterpreted the law when they found that it's only the AG that can initiate extradition proceedings against Kenyans wanted to face criminal trials in foreign countries. But the AG, through State Counsel Emmanuel Bita, defended the Court of Appeal findings, arguing that extradition relates to mutual legal assistance between different countries that can only be undertaken by the State Law Office. The Court of Appeal correctly analyzed the law and came to this conclusion. So this dance has been going on forever. The fallout between the DPP and the AG signaled yet another long wait for Okemo and Gishuru, who have endured the 10-year battle against the extradition to Jersey Island, which started at the Magistrates Court moved to the High Court, proceeded to the Court of Appeal, and is now in the Supreme Court. 10 years of no charges brought against you. 10 years not appearing before a judicial officer in the United Kingdom, Jersey Island. 10 years of not even being required to be arrested in this country. 10 years living freely as drama is unfolding in court.
You know, the thing that I find particularly interesting here is just a little line that appeared in an article in the Star. And it is not the tiff between the AG and the DPP. It is this. It is alleged that both Okemo and Gishuru accepted bribes from foreign businesses that contracted the KPLC. That bit.
Right.
The bit about they hid the money where that is, no. So if you're talking about contractual agreements that are strangling us at this particular moment in time, I'm simply saying you have to go really way back to trace some of these things.
Indeed.
Some of those things actually involve jobs such as what? Such as that dam we were talking about the other day. That's in Lonyangapuo's county.
It's called
Takwel.
Takwel.
The Takwel Gorge Dam and others. Such projects. Some solar job here and there. Some company is paid. Some company says that it paid a consultant, and the consultant is alleged to belong to one of these two gentlemen who is a senior manager in the power company. Boss, me, I'm looking at it from this point. This whole dance is choreographed. This one, in my opinion, as a tax-paying Kenyan of high standing, I'm just looking at it and thinking, this whole dance, let's go and start arguing, but who should be arresting you? Why are we spending so much time discussing whether it is this office or this office that should bring an application? No, it's not anything. It's not that you are supposed to arrest. Who should go to a magistrate with this application and say, we are required to, please, Mr. Magistrate, order the arrest and extradition of CT Muga to the island of Jersey. That's it. We are arguing who should go before the magistrate.
Imagine, we're arguing
10 years.
In fact,
We've been arguing back and forth.
Eric, let me ask the
It's
question.
you, it should not be- it should
In
be me.
ordinary cases, which doesn't require such high-profile individuals, who does that job on a daily basis? So, is the law skewed to favor people of, in, should we say, formally high positions, people who have high profiles? Because as far as we know, this process is usually, DPP takes matter to court. Or have I missed it somewhere?
You're right.
DCI investigates, DPP
takes
It's a criminal matter.
Yeah.
DPP takes
Yes, so
it.
where does the AG come in?
I understand what the Court of Appeal judges were saying as well, though. In terms of, it talks about a deal that we have signed with another country. Mutual legal assistance. Okay? So this is a state that is requesting another state to operationalize the mutual legal assistance. So who's in charge? Who's the custodian of this?
AG.
The AG.
AG.
Right? But then these are matters that these are legal officers and they understand. These are matters that they could have sat in and agreed, all right, so we can even do this jointly. Whatever, they could have done it. We can go and place it, let them go and appeal. They could have done it. This dance is between the AG and the DPP.
But you know
AG,
what I
DPP,
see?
who should be doing this job? Why?
I see there's a game of chess being played here.
Yes.
And that there's somebody benefiting from this dance.
People.
There are people who are benefiting. 10 years in the back and forth over who should not. Who should not. There's somebody who's sitting pretty benefiting from this. So as long as this can continue, the benefit continues.
I dare say the conductor of this dance is not even in Kenya. This is an internationally orchestrated dance. Remember, these two gentlemen appear in court. What are they going to say? So the charge is that you paid so and so this amount of money.
They didn't pay themselves. Somebody paid them.
Yes. Who is it that doesn't want this story to come out? Delay it as much as possible. All right, so you, I mean, go.
Well, we get our ducks in a row.
Yeah, go to court,
But
go
Eric,
there,
there's
go
something
there.
else also. The wrong that this gentleman appeared to have done, because until it's proven, it's
an allegation.
Precisely.
Right.
We in Kenya don't seem to think they have done anything wrong, because have they been charged in our courts with wrongdoing?
Nope.
No. They're walking about free, no?
Yes, they are. But if...
No charge has been leveled against them.
Yes.
No?
If some other country can find it fit to level charges against you, all right? And up until very recently, when we had this new constitution, this issue of taking money abroad was really iffy. And even with our own laws, you stood a far greater chance of being found guilty of flouting rules if you took money abroad than not. But somehow, this issue doesn't seem to have attracted any notice in this country. Because the amounts have been, should we say, posted in the media from time to time?
Yep.
The process from time to time. Somehow, no wrong seems to have been adduced. None whatsoever. None. Locally.
At least not locally, right? At least not here where there's been a charge brought about by the same DPP. There's been no investigation, at least not to our knowledge, carried out by the DCI to then say, look here, there's actually something strange here. There's been nothing of the sort. You heard about it because there was an external, perhaps investigation done, and then external order for charge. That's where it has come from.
You know, when Eric says this is a dance, we live in this country called Kenya, and we have been treated over time to some fairly complicated dances. And the thing about money, where money is involved and there's a great deal of it, the likelihood of the unsuspecting public, that is us, constantly dealing with a series of grey areas is what is imminent. There'll be a suggestion here, an innuendo here, or perhaps here, but you never really seem to get to the heart of the matter, because issues are raised, and other issues that are so far removed. Now, if we're discussing Jersey, and these are Kenyans, and the money that you're talking about is money that was generated in Kenya, and probably being paid for by the taxpayer. Why is the taxpayer not being represented here? Somehow, it doesn't seem to be an issue. Somehow, it's not an issue.
These are dances that we are treated to as a public. This is one. Another one that we're being treated to is this one that was happening yesterday in the Committee of Health in the National Assembly.
The KEMSA issue.
The KEMSA issue. Read that story again, Ndu.
Okay. So, just give me a minute, and here it is. All right. So, 790 million shillings held by KEMSA in PPPs has expired, MPs have been told. Personal protective equipment valued at that amount held by the National Medical Supply has expired, Parliamentary Committee was told yesterday. KEMSA acting CEO Edward Njoroge told the National Assembly Committee on Health that the expired PPE are part of the 5.4 billion worth of equipment that the agency procured, but which have remained at its stores to date. Njoroge told lawmakers that the items expired while KEMSA was still waiting for an approval from the cabinet to dispose of them at the current market rate. After getting the cabinet approval to dispose of the PPE, we found out that items valued at 790 million had expired, but we are doing an assessment to see if some can still be used. A full PPE kit has an overall, gloves, face shield and shoe covers. KEMSA procured the consignment at a higher price owing to the high demand at that time when Kenya's first recorded case of COVID-19 made it in March last year. The authority is said to have procured 5,000 N95 masks at 1,300 apiece against the market rate of 700 shillings. It also bought KN95 masks at 700 apiece, while the market rate price is at 450. It supplied 1 million. This is even another story that we missed out on earlier. Because also the number that were supplied, which are said to have expired now, 1 million 836,400 masks were supplied, while disposable masks were bought for 90 shillings apiece against the market price of 50. 180 million is the value of items sold by KEMSA after getting approval from the cabinet in August, according to CEO Edwin Njoroge. So, when these investigations were taking place, when this report eventually came out,
yes,
it was seen that, okay, hold on. This money, this procurement, the issue or the bone of contention was that you procured these items at much higher than the market rate. So hold on a minute, keep them in the stores while we're investigating this thing. Don't even touch them. Do not disperse them. Do not do anything.
In the meantime, CEO, procurement manager, home.
Gallows, right? Sacked, because this thing we can't quite figure it out. Suspended, right? Okay, waiting for investigation. Now, during the time that these PPE were in storage, Cabinet Secretary Muthui said, you know what? We are in a crisis situation right now.
Yes.
Our health workers around the country do not have PPE. We are not able to procure because KEMSA has this debacle, etc., etc. Release them to us. Let us use them. We're told, no, sorry, we can't do that. Under investigation, and these are items
They've
of
been
investigation.
impounded.
These are evidence. We cannot touch them.
Right.
Keep them. Back and forth, months, tick-tock yesterday. Now,
Gumboots have expired.
Now, finally, you've told us that we can disburse. You've told us we can disburse as KEMSA, but you know what? They've expired. 790 million shillings worth of this stuff. The PPE specifically expired.
The PPEs have expired, so now, you know what we cannot do? We cannot even pay the suppliers. Citi said, and I am inclined to go with Citi's thinking, that these things did not exist. They haven't been in the stores in the first place. We need evidence that they have actually been in the stores. Now you come and say, oh, you know, we've had to destroy them. Destroy how? Destroy what?
You know, this story of conjuring up things from thin air and then presenting them as though they have substance is something that has been going on for the longest time.
This is what we're treated to on a daily basis.
Yes, you see, in the political realm, one sees it often and sometimes one isn't sure. Now, if you just go walk down memory lane briefly,
yes,
there's one such activity that took place around 1983 onwards, and it involves then the Minister for Constitutional Affairs, Mr. Charles Muga Ndu Okoh. Two things had happened. There was a guy called Andrew Muthemba who had been involved in some nefarious matters, and somehow Njonjo's name came up, but it didn't stick. Then the gentleman was in London doing whatever it is he was doing in London, and suddenly there were discussions about the word msaliti. I had studied Kiswahili in Form 4, but I had never come across the word msaliti.
Until then.
I came across it then, msaliti. And those who wrote this story and those who've written about it, one of them is a notable writer, one is John Godho. They talked about Njonjo understanding how government works, came back and decided he's resigning. Resignation was not accepted. The next thing we knew was Martin Shikuku, then a fiery backbencher. No, at that time he was an assistant minister. Came up and talked about him. He went out and said, the msaliti we've been talking about is Njonjo. This song and dance went on and on and on and on. Njonjo was still Minister for Constitutional Affairs. His resignation was not accepted by the president. In the end, Njonjo was removed. Lo and behold, what then happened? The person who benefited from his removal was one Mwai Kibaki. He then became vice president. There's something I want to point out to here. This drama went on because Mwai Kibaki himself was ushered out.
Wait, Mwai Kibaki became vice president after Njonjo left the Constitutional Affairs Office?
No, he was a beneficiary. I've leapfrogged it. It is written by those who understand those terms that one Charles Njonjo and Mwai Kibaki did not always see eye to eye. What he benefited from, which culminated in his eventually being vice president, was he was a prominent central Kenya figure. Yes. Now, Njonjo out of the way, there's space for somebody else to come in. What am I saying? I'm saying that song and dance went on for the longest time. Somebody came in, somebody came out. And do you remember the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, one Josephat Karanja, who also ended up as being Vice President of this country? Once again, issues arose and he eventually lost his job. Now, if you look at the circumstances, in my mind, even with hindsight, there is nothing that you could point at and stick and say, okay, this guy actually did this thing which was wrong, which required him to have left his job. There was one particular individual who was famous for this song and dance and for testing public outcry. His name was Sharif Nasir. Sharif Nasir was one of those MPs, he later became minister, who would always point out some fairly fiery issues in the public. And there'd be a lot of debate about it, and then some decision was arrived at. In the Moi era, these songs and dances were very frequent. And one could almost anticipate them. Now, that is on the political realm. But always behind these political games, there was always some business, some issue taking place. For instance, how do you think the Goldenberg issue came up? What do you think was happening? And what stories were we told? And eventually, even when that Goldenberg issue came in and it went into the Kibaki era, what did we hear? A lot of the story of the Goldenberg centered around a particular hotel. That saga has not ended. Even now, we're still being treated to issues regarding the Grand Regency or like a Grand Regency. So if you're talking about being treated to a song and dance in this country, where some people sit down and determine these are the foxtrot steps that we're going to take. We will start with this, we will move here, and we will move here.
Somebody writes a piece.
They do.
And they decide, all right, so this is it. We're going to start on D major.
Yes. So this is the song you're going to sing. No, not now. No, wait. Okay, now, go to Parliament.
Go.
Make this announcement.
People appear in Parliament just suddenly like that and they say, you know what, the PPEs, we've had to destroy them. And in fact, we are not going to pay the suppliers. KEMSA's acting CEO, Edwin Njoroge, telling MPs that the expired items were part of the consignment that was supplied when the pandemic struck. In any case, we have no money to pay these suppliers. No money has been set aside to pay them. Another parliamentary committee has also directed the state-run medical procurement agency not to pay a penny to suppliers, accusing them of benefiting from irregular tendering process.
That is rubbish. That is rubbish.
And we are talking to the tune of 5.5 billion shillings.
And you want to think that it was shocking as of yesterday. If you're looking at it now, it's clearly something that was planned a long time ago. The shock and drama and the awe and the theatrics is just for yesterday. So that the country can be held in this, lock, it's what's going on? But
on record, this happened. So on record, the CEO came to Parliament. On record, the CEO said in Parliament. So on record, Parliament is...
it's for the record of Parliament.
It's for the record. And then you would only be asked to make a logical conclusion. Based from all of these things that have been playing slowly.
So then, therefore,
plan was in place
because we don't have any more money to pay these 5.5 billion shillings, we have not paid the 5.5 billion.
I think that
we will not be able
to. I mean, I'm not going to say with all due respect, no such thing. That man should just keep quiet, because if this person supplied, pay him. My view, pay him. This long story of we won't pay him and we know it was supplied. So unless you're telling us it wasn't supplied, that thing was supplied, it went where it was supposed to go, money was made. When people keep talking about, we're not paying him, that person got his money.
Can I venture to say, City, you remember the way you talk about going to court and suing after the fact because of a contract that was not obeyed?
Yes.
You see now here, CEO can say, we got authority to, because these things had expired, we destroyed them.
Yes.
Now, this person goes to court and says, I supplied.
And this was the order, and this is the process.
This was the order, and this is them signing that they've received. So I ought to be paid. Oh no, we can't pay you. Why?
The court will look at those details.
Yeah. Where are those items that you're saying were not supplied? No, they were supplied, yes, but they were expired. And that's not the point.
No.
It's not our problem. Did you supply?
Did you supply? Did you accept? Pay them. 5.5 billion shillings is going to be paid. We are in campaign season, my friends. That's what I'm telling you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor to declare this campaign season officially open. Pesa itoke, kaende. It's 28 minutes to 8 o'clock. Let's take a look at the weather.
is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. "24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*1# to read the Standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
On your mark. Set.
The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is back. Virtual Marathon and Elite Marathon. Sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings only and run from wherever you are or from select hotspots around Nairobi. To register, visit www.nairobimarathon.com. Choose your preferred distance from 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, or 42 kilometers, and decide the day you will run between 25th and 31st October 2021. To track your run, download and use the Strava app. When you register, you will receive
sugar and spice and everything nice, everything nice. SpiceFM.
All right, sun's out in Nairobi this morning at 15 degrees. We'll see highs of 25 today. 15 degrees and partly sunny conditions in Nakuru. Highs of 26 and lows of 14. 14 will also be the low in Nyeri, where it's cloudy at 15, and mostly cloudy conditions in Eldoret at 13. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 12. In Mombasa, mostly sunny at 25, highs of 30 and lows of 23. While in Malindi this morning, it's sunny as well at 27, highs of 30 and lows of 24. Kisumu this morning, mostly sunny at 20, highs of 29 and lows of 19. While in Kakamega, it is sunny as well at 19 with highs of 28 and lows of 15. Kampala's cloudy at 20, highs of 28 and lows of 17. While Dar es Salaam is mostly sunny, we'll see lows of 23 and highs of 30. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions in Johannesburg at 15, highs of 22 and lows of 12. While in Lagos, it's clear at 25, highs of 30 and lows of 24. It continues raining in Kinshasa at 23. Through today, we'll see highs of 31 and lows of 22.
Spice up your life.
All right, looking at some traffic still on Mombasa Road this morning. Expected North Airport Road is jam-packed. My goodness, while you blinked, things happened. And we're seeing traffic that is spilling over well onto Outer Ring, going out into the city centre very, very slow. Also connecting with the Eastern Bypass there, and then heading out towards Outer Ring. So the traffic splits, and it is more going then towards Outer Ring this morning. We're looking at Jogo Road, and it's also building up going towards Landis and then out towards Kamkunji roundabout, Haile Selassie in both directions. We have some traffic this morning feeding off of Landis Road and also feeding off on this other side from Uhuru Highway. That continues getting into the CBD quite tight this morning. And where there was no traffic on Thika Road earlier, it is now there. Full throttle jam-packed. Coming off of Muthui Limuru Road today doesn't look good at all. Bumper to bumper traffic, joining then with Wangari Maathai Road and then heading into the city. Very, very slow this morning. That whole Parklands area is an absolute mess. I wonder what's going on there today. Will you help us find out? Let us know on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127. We're trying to keep things moving this Friday.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Mornings
done right. 94.4.
It's 23 minutes to 8 o'clock, Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues. This is a Situation Room. In the Situation Room, this and every weekday morning, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., you have CT Muga, Ndu Okoh, and Eric Latiff. We continue the conversations. And remember, tomorrow, 00 Direct from 10 a.m., we'll be talking about climate change, pathways for advancing a just transition in Kenya in responding to the climate crisis. She'll have in the studio Dr. Mary Nyasimi, Executive Director of ICASA, Elizabeth Wathuti, environmentalist and climate activist, Rebecca Okello, Program Officer in charge of climate change in Kotu, and Salina Sanu, Head of Programs at Pasia. All these female guests, female hosts, and female music tomorrow at 00 Direct, talking about climate change. So I'm telling you guys that what the president was basically doing at Wangoro Stadium on Mashujaa Day was officially declaring the campaign season officially and formally open, right? And this is what I'm looking at it this way. A number of things happened from the president's speech. Number one, notable, is the president said, previously there has been this requirement that if you make transactions of over $1 million shillings and above in a bank, you have got to really explain yourself.
Even before you make them. Yeah.
Why are you withdrawing $1 million shillings?
Yeah.
Why are you transferring $1 million shillings? Is it to make a payment? Or is there an invoice that can show us this? The reason why you're any documentation that shows why you're transacting with over $1 million shillings. President said, lift that. We have noticed that cash is still king in this country and people are transacting with cash. Campaign season, of course, cash is king in campaign season. And you know what happens in campaign season? You go and transact with tens and hundreds of millions of shillings on weekly basis. For you to move this money, you don't need to keep explaining. There are no invoices in campaigns when you're paying people here and there.
And there are no receipts.
There are no receipts in campaigns. So to open up that opportunity for campaign to happen nicely, just remove the cap. You can now go and deposit and withdraw any amount of
Nobody's
$1 million.
asking questions.
Eric,
no documentation required.
Let me just ask a silly question here.
Yes.
Right? That cap that we speak of, how was it enacted? Was it by a presidential pronouncement?
No, it was a requirement. It was a regulation by the CBK.
CBK.
Regulation.
Yes.
And the president has the mandate to lift regulations.
It was a suggestion on his part.
In fact, I'm looking for it so that I can read exactly what the president said about
that
it.
Anything above $1 million shillings was the issue. So 999,999, you're fine. You don't have to have documentation. $1 million shillings and above, then you need to explain where this money was coming from, what the transactional purpose is, and what you're going to then do with it thereafter. It was a regulation by the CBK because they were trying to now look at issues concerning fraud. They were looking at, money having been gotten through nefarious, ways. That was what they were looking at. So if the money is clean, there should be a trail. If there was no problem, there should be an explanation as to where it came from and what you're doing with it.
It's borrowed from the law that's there on anti-money laundering. Let me read the intervention. The 10th intervention is in the banking sector. The transformation of our economy and the emergence of our nation as a financial hub is as a result of the efficiency secured by technology. The gains we have made in the digitalization of financial services and transactions have made it possible for us to better track and trace illicit flows of money. In view of this, we remain committed to the anti-money laundering and combating financing of terrorism frameworks stipulated by the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. It's called POCAMLA. These include requirements for financial institutions to report cash transactions above 10,000 USD, that's $1 million bob. However, it should also be recognized that the implementation of the framework by banks has been onerous for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Cash still remains an important payments channel for MSMEs, representing 80% of all their financial transactions. Accordingly, the implementation of cash transactions requirements by banks has not been facilitative of the operations of MSMEs and has to some extent inhibited their growth. In this regard, I hereby further order the National Treasury, after consultation with other stakeholders, to immediately cause the upward revision of the cash transactions reporting threshold from the current 1 million shillings applicable to both withdrawals and deposits by customers. The financial institutions will retain their reporting obligations to the Financial Reporting Centre. remove the cap. SMEs are transacting with cash on a daily basis, okay?
So this is for them.
So Treasury, can you talk to the stakeholders and remove that cap? He has not said, move it from 1 million to
2 million or 3.
To 3.
Remove it completely.
Remove the cap. Kaende. Are we
Open the
together?
floodgates.
Campaign season, kaende. Incident number 2. 10 billion shillings for this amorphous thing called Kazimtani. What is Kazimtani? Kazimtani is when our youth are used in the sanitization programs in the country, cleaning up the environment. We've realized with COVID that if we are clean, we shall
Be safe.
be safe. So in sanitization programs, the youth come and they do something, they clean the estate, they do some of these projects, and then they are paid on a daily basis at a tune of 600
per
600 per day.
Yes, so it was looking at 3,600 per week.
There you go, 10 billion shillings. It worked in phase 1, it worked in phase 2, now we are going into phase 3. Campaign season, 10 billion shillings. Does this money have receipts? Well, yeah, youth receive money here and there, and they say, oh, yeah, we've received, yeah.
Less, some
they
places,
receive
but okay.
via M-Pesa. So money shall flow. Kaende? Incident number 3. We're going to build classrooms across the country. And these classrooms, we are going to have 100,000 classrooms constructed.
10,000.
10,000 classrooms constructed very soon.
Yes.
The National Treasury will actually now deal with this directly. Will not have any bottlenecks. So local fundis, fundi wa mjengo in a local area is the one that's going to build the local school. What's the school that you chair, Bona City, Muga?
It's called Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Secondary School, Tamu.
Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Secondary School, Tamu,
in Moroni County.
Will require some desks. Okay? Now, you'd expect that the school heads, the board of management like yours, are the ones who are going to identify the fundi and then say this is a classroom, and then the county education officer comes and says these are the standards, go ahead. You will see, Mr. CT.
Actually, the
8 billion shillings to construct 10,000 classrooms. You will see.
Eric, let me ask you a question. Even as it was stated, I've been silent on this matter because it's ludicrous. Huh?
Yes.
How is the ministry going to determine which fundi to give the work to and how to pay them? Just explain to me the mechanism they're going to use.
The fundi will come and say, kujenga hii class mse, unajua nataka smith.
Yes. So, let's say you have the mechanisms of government. You will use the normal government mechanisms to ensure that the fundi is qualified, meets blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
That can be done. My issue is, how are you going to contract this person and pay them? Through whom?
See, now this is a thing because you're assuming already that there will be a contract that will be done.
County Director of Education is the official in charge of the ministry, right?
Yes, yes.
So County Director of Education maybe is the one who says, yeah, this is the fundi, blah, blah, blah. The assumption here is that I would expect that the school head and the school board
are aware.
And then they're working with, they report to the County Director of Education and say, so we have identified the fundi, and this is it. The County Director of Education escalates it and says, so these are the details.
Remember, it's local fundi.
Local fundi.
Yes.
Because County Director of Education does not know local fundi.
No, that's why you...
Local school knows local fundi.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And local MP.
Yes.
Now, remember, MPs have also been told, even you guys, CDF,
release this money for these things.
For this job. Local MP, local MCA come in and they say, this is the local fundi.
They are local fundi.
Ukuri atani? Lipa, local fundi. Kaende. 8 billion shillings.
Ask yourself later.
Which
Houdini move actually will bring about this
discussion? It looks like it's straightforward and simple. Even through well laid down mechanisms of paying fundis, where we know the money is in the school account, we know what has been done, you follow processes. Bwana Chairman, we need you to sign this thing so that we can pay this person. Fairly straightforward. And even then, there'll be issues because sometimes the money isn't there. You are promised, you engaged. Work done, you can't pay.
Yes.
Now you have an issue. Now, this one, where you are not involved, and they've contracted this fundi directly, this is one delightful merry-go-round.
Fun. Isn't it going to be fun?
It's going to be delightful.
3.2 billion shillings is also going to be released to construct 50 new dispensaries across the country, level 3 hospitals.
Those are dispensaries, isn't
across
it?
the country.
Yes.
50 new, 3.2 billion shillings. To construct what?
Dispensaries.
I want you to pause on that particular thought.
Remember, health is devolved.
Completely.
But we are not saying that we are taking this money to the county so the counties
No,
can...
no.
No. It's like that. It's vague like that.
By the way, if you go around this country, one of the things that you'll find fascinating is the number of health facilities that are dilapidated and ignored. Remember, I've told you of how I actually found a whole tree growing in the middle.
Well, we read a story here a couple of months ago how one health facility in Nakuru, Baringo County had been turned into a poultry.
Yep.
Yeah.
You remember? It was.
It was in Nakuru.
It was Nakuru County. Yeah, it had been finished. In fact, the fellow who was supposed to be manning it turned out to be one of the poultry hands, and it's being used by some county official as his business. County funds having been released to have this facility finished. It was finished, looking actually pretty nice. We saw the pictures. So in terms of what is available, in terms of new level 3, how many across the country? How many do we have in the country right now that have not been finished? Or rather that are not even being utilized?
Yep. We are building new ones.
We're building new ones.
Instead
and you
of
have
saying,
some that are chicken coops.
Now that we have some 600 ICU beds, let's actually equip these ICU beds. No. Now that we have some health facilities, let's look at how to equip this health.
I'll give you another example. Mandera County, they finished building 400-bed capacity hospital at the cost of, I believe it was 360 million shillings. They finished building it. And then the question, we had somebody who called in, and the question was, okay, now to equip this hospital, it needed X amount till tomorrow. Has never been sorted out. So what about, and this is what I said, I had a problem with this speech that was in the way in which it was said yesterday.
3.2 billion shillings
that this
campaign.
is a smoke screen for something else.
Kaende.
It's a smoke screen for something else because you have these existing facilities, they've not been equipped, you don't even have staff manning them, you don't even have a tab of Panadol in the ones that exist. Then you want to build new ones in the next 10 months. 50. And the ones that you have between chicken coop and spider webs, animals are living inside those ones. Equip them, refurbish them. But no, that's why I agree. Smoke screen for election. It's exactly what it is.
Yesterday, the National Cereals and Produce Board went before the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture. Okay? They went and said, you know what, Honorable Chairman, the National Cereals and Produce Board does not have grain. We've run out of grain. We need to urgently purchase so that we can ensure food security in the country. And also remember, we are looking at 12 counties that are facing starvation, and the President has declared this a national disaster. Mr. Chairman, sir, we'd like to request Parliament to approve and authorize that we get some 10 billion shillings urgently. It's an emergency, so we can buy food. We buy maize, we buy wheat, we buy powdered milk, we buy canned beef, we buy all these things so we can start distributing them to the people to the tune of 10 billion shillings. What's going to happen? 10 billion shillings. If Parliament takes this, okay, the Agriculture Committee, this is a dance. Agriculture Committee goes and makes a report and, no. This comes in the supplementary budget that will be presented by Ukuri Atani. We need 10 billion shillings because, honorable members, food. People are hungry. 10 billion shillings. All right, so can we buy locally? Also, we don't have enough stock to fill the requirements here locally. Can we open the importation window for a while? Open the importation window for a while. No, it's an emergency.
It's an emergency.
Wow. 10 billion shillings. Kaende.
And
Ladies
some of the
and
things that
gentlemen.
we hear, we've got to also realize some of the things that we hear because we know, just because of the processes of government, by the time the executive has declared something an emergency, essentially it is the key that opens the door for funds to flow.
Yes.
When you say famine has been declared a national emergency, when you say this has been declared a disaster and now it is an emergency, disaster, emergency now means, all right, do whatever you need to do so that the funds can flow.
And you can skip some stages
because now that declaration essentially is saying, open the floodgates and spend the money. And then you don't have to go through the process of debating, agreeing, signing, moving forward. It's direct. Key, door, open, move.
Move it.
That's what it is.
You know, Eric, if I take the view that you have, and I have no reason not to, do you see just how widespread and how malignant our mental health issue is? You have a situation where you have 12 counties where people are facing imminent death because hunger, starvation eventually leads to death. Because that's what you're facing.
Yeah.
The hunger they're not facing, the hunger they're experiencing. Okay? The shortage of food they're experiencing, so they're not facing it. Then you have a situation where you are being told about the possibility of projects that ought to improve your life. And this is against the back of other promises that had been made, against the back of other promises that had been made even before then. And none of these have ever been fully accomplished. Yet more are being made. When I asked the question yesterday, so what exactly do you expect the president to do? What options does he have? What ought he to say? How should he go about it? You see, the question boils down not so much to the presidency, but to the actual holder of that particular office. What sort of individual is this? What sort of person is he? Because at some point, when you are looking at situations, you go beyond the office and you ask yourself, okay, fine, office, we understand.
Yeah.
Now, individual who is in this office, is he cognizant of the problems that are facing the common mwananchi? Now, I'm repeating that question. Cognizant doesn't mean that he's been told so he knows and he understands the figures. No. Does he understand how dire that situation is and the consequences of this thing being prolonged? Because if the pronouncements are just that, pronouncements with an ulterior motive, the very thing that we have been told the president seems to be protecting is the very thing he's going to damage, his legacy.
You know, also, as we speak about this city, and I agree with you, it's not just about the presidency and even the person. It's actually the system.
Yes.
Because there's a system in place. There's a system that all these things that I'm talking about, if assuming that I am in any way even 1% right, it's a system that's designed this way. We are going into election period, all right? Spending needs to happen. What are the bottlenecks to that spending? One key clear bottleneck is this law that we were forced to sign by the Americans called money laundering, blah, blah, blah thing. Because it says, now, we have to keep checking, where did you get this money from? Where did you get this money from? Why are you bringing in money? Why are you transferring the money? Okay, now surely SMEs are suffering. System looks and sees government needs to spend in a campaign season. And needs to spend in ways that money can go directly to people's hands, where we can show, on paper, it's going directly to people's hands.
And which won't come back to bite you because you've abrogated some law.
Yes.
So you move the laws aside.
So for us to be able to spend 10 billion shillings, and the only way we can account is by just showing some SMS number, phone number here and there, is that.
It's okay.
It's Kazimtani. We paid the youth. I mean, they did some work. What work did they do? Can we audit the work that was done with the 20 billion shillings that has been spent on Kazimtani so far? Can we say that this is the work? Is there a mechanism for telling how clean is a place? Because it's a sanitation program.
Oh, good Lord, have mercy.
That, we have before and after.
After, this is what it looks like.
This is how it looks like. So clearly, if we went to audit and say, all right, so we paid the youth here so that they come and clean the market, we will find a clean market. You can't find a clean market, you see, because market is in use on a daily basis. But it was clean. It was clean.
It was clean, and you can only expect by virtue of the fact that there's waste disposal, because it's a market. Expect that every time you come here, you will find some waste here and there. But in terms of cleaning, it has actually happened.
That time it was cleaned.
The time when you were not here. The time when you were not here, it was actually clean.
Ali
and the
is
time
on the
when
line.
you will not be here, it will be clean.
Let's hear
Ali. Ali, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, gentlemen and a lady?
We are fine, Mr. Ali.
There's this initial called SGR.
Yeah.
It's not standard gauge railway. It's strategic grain reserve. That is year in, year out. Every budget is preserving amount of money for 3 million bags. Why is this agricultural committee or the National Cereals and Produce Board says there is no grain in the cereal board? Where did that money go? Because if this year comes in, the previous produce is being sold out and bringing fresh produce for emergency.
Yep.
It's called strategic grain reserve. That's my question.
Hata sisi hatujui.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ali. Mohammed in Mombasa, I see you were calling. We're getting to the top of the hour. So, well, we are treated to a dance on a daily basis. And we sit back and we just look at the dance and you're like, okay, yeah, let's sing along. Yes. Billions of money will be released. You know, they'll come into us. They will figure out, so are we able to tap into this cash? Are we not? We're getting to campaign season. Are we getting into that campaign? Is it going to work for us? Is it not? Anyway, let's get to the top of the hour by running. Tell us about the Standard Marathon. It's taking place at the end of this month.
On the 31st of October. The Standard Chartered Marathon is coming to you after a year of skipping it. Of course, looking at COVID being something that took place. But you can actually run in person, or you can run virtually and then find a way to send, of course, with the prescribed, find a way to send your results over. The virtual marathon takes place between the 25th and the 31st of October, and it's the first time ever in addition to the elite marathon. You can sign up for the virtual race with 1,000 shillings and run from wherever you are and select hotspots around Nairobi. So registration, you will receive a race kit that includes a shirt, a medal, and a bag. Kits will be collected at either the KICC or selected hotspots. Visit nairobimarathon.com, www.nairobimarathon.com, and you'll be able to upload your times and track your run.
And we'll give you more details as we go on in the show on how you can register, how you can participate in the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the Situation Room. Keep it right here. In the next hour, we talk about your financial health. Right? Yeah? Keep it right here for more of this and other conversations. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Lea Ubaga. Slain athlete Agnes Tirop is set to be buried tomorrow at her parents' home in Nandi County. She was found dead with a stab wound on the neck, and the court has ordered that her boyfriend Ibrahim Rotich be detained for 20 days for investigations into her death to be complete. The family of Tirop has issued tough warnings to the family of Rotich, saying that they'll not allow any member of his family to attend the athlete's funeral tomorrow. The uncle castigated the Rotich family for allowing their son to live with their daughter without following the necessary traditions on marriage.
Huyo mtu alikuja kutorosha mtoto kutoka shule. Basi na nilipiga ripoti kwa polisi. Akatorosha kabisa sijui miezi 6. Basi vile anatorosha mtoto wakatuma polisi wakashika sisi. Tukalala shule. Hata mimi sijui wasasi yake. Mimi sijui hata kwao sijui.
Akajaribu kumwambia Agnes, utanipea 40,000. Agnes akamwambia hakuna shida. Sasa venye alikuwa anamwambia hakuna shida, mimi nilikuwa naosha nguo hapo nje ya mazoezi. Agnes akaingia kwa nyumba sitting room, akakaa chini. Akafuata na akaenda kumchapa.
This comes as the Ministry of Sports is set to name its first sports person welfare conference after the slain Olympian. This was announced by CS Amina Mohammed, who visited Tirop's family yesterday to condole with them in Nandi County.
Huyu ni ambassador ambaye ameuliwa sasa. Yeye fanya kazi zaidi ya ambassadors wengine. Kwa sababu anatoka kila mara akitoka yuko na flag ya nchi yetu. Kila mara akitoka akishinda anthem ya nchi yetu inaimbwa. Na kila mara nilipokuwa nikimwona alikuwa na smile kwenye uso wake. Akisema mpaka sasa.
Alikuwa bado mchanga, alikuwa bado anaenda mbali. Mnaona juzi alikimbia huko Germany akavunja record.
The government has in the last few months received 893,600 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The latest batch was received yesterday night and it contained 500,000 doses. Health CS Muthui said by the end of next week, the government targets to have enough doses in the country to hit the 10 million mark of vaccinated citizens come December. The CS further advised Kenyans to be more vigilant in observing the laid down COVID-19 protocols as well as come out in large numbers to receive the COVID-19 vaccines.
In the country, the vaccine supply situation has now been greatly improved. In the next 2 weeks, we shall have received and supplied all doses required for us to receive our target of 10 million people by December. Later this evening, in fact, we shall be receiving an addition 500,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines through the AVAT mechanism to bolster our efforts. We also hope to receive even more vaccines over the next few days and weeks through different mechanisms.
Human rights groups have condemned the killing of 4 elderly women in Kisii County who are accused of practicing witchcraft. They've asked police officers to move with speed and arrest the remaining perpetrators. It has also emerged that the killings were connected to land disputes. The organizations want the National Land Commission to investigate and resolve all cases of land dispute and other property injustices.
Watu wakuja wakachukua mama yangu kutoka asubuhi sana, saa moja asubuhi, na mtangazaji wetu anampatia dawa. Ngawaruhusa ati napeleka mama yangu wapi? Huyu mama yangu ni mchawi. Mpeleka mpaka barabara, kata tairi, makatoa petroli, wakamwaga kwa mama yangu, akafanya akufa hivi.
And it has been going on for the last 20 years. Nobody has been in jail. All the killers are going scot-free. They finish killing one widow and then they move to the other. The chiefs are on the ground. The government is on the ground. Somebody needs to account for their actions.
Being a widow is a death sentence. It's unacceptable. This is not who we are as a people, as Abagusi.
The electoral agency now wants Parliament to prescribe levels of educational qualifications and standard for candidates eyeing political offices. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission says the Constitution only anticipates some level of educational qualification and standards. The Commission was giving its views on 2 bills seeking to amend the Elections Act by removal of the controversial requirement for a university degree for all those eyeing political seats come next year. This is even as IBC said they'll support PWDs in the next elections.
The Commission therefore seeks to collaborate with stakeholders and partners to establish a technical working group on PWDs in the electoral process, strengthening collection of disaggregated data on accessibility requirement of voters who are PWDs, voter education and advocacy, undertaking disability audits, and advocating for existence of enabling legal, regulatory, and policy framework that supports the participation of PWDs in the electoral process.
And in business news, shareholders' wealth at the National Securities Exchange hit the highest level ever on a one-year-on-year basis in the first 9 months of 2021, driven by recovery from the effects of COVID-19. The Capital Market Authority Q3 statistical bulletin shows market capitalization at the Nairobi Bourse grew to 2.778 trillion shillings compared to 2.148 trillion. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, we're right in the middle of traffic hour this morning, and there's quite a lot of traffic in the CBD, leading in from Gong Road, coming off Uhuru Highway, as well as Jogo Road via Kamkunji, and then also coming off the Thika Superhighway, which, by the way, there's a lot of action going on right now. Lots of traffic on the Thika Superhighway that was not there before 7 o'clock, so one must wonder, where is all this coming from? It is Friday, after all. All right, looking at Aerodrome Road, that Super Saver Road connecting you from Langata Road to the Uhuru Highway, absolutely jam-packed this morning and feeding over from Langata Road. What else are we looking at? Jogo Road also going towards the City Stadium roundabout. We're looking at quite a lot of traffic in the middle of the CBD this morning as well, coming off from Gong Road, going then towards Community. Okay, Mombasa Road also inbound, a little bit of traffic here and there, but not as bad as other parts of the city for a change. Outer Ring then also one of your go-to roads is jam-packed. So what are we going to do when we see all this traffic? We are going to use the bypasses, Southern, Eastern, Northern, Red Hill, Link Road, coming out of Westlands. They are your friends. Shake their hands. Use them this morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. That's how you can get in touch, or text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It's 8 minutes after 8. Very good morning to you, and how are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this lovely Friday morning. It's the second day after curfew. It's the 22nd day after the beginning of the year, of the month of October. This is C.T. Muga now with the day's proverb.
Chamfupi chiriwa ni mure. It's a dig of proverb, and the translation in English is, something belonging to a short person is often taken by a tall person.
Something belonging to a short person is often taken by a tall person.
It's a proverb, so it shouldn't be taken literally.
Chamfupi chiriwa
ni mure.
Ni mure.
Yes.
Okay. I guess this one is easier for you to try to pronounce today. Mfupi, cha,
actually,
ni.
Actually, even yesterday,
chiriwa.
The thing about the languages of the Mijikenda, they are so akin to Kiswahili. Even the meaning is not difficult to derive if you understand the Kiswahili language.
Yes.
Yes. It's what may confuse you is the intonation. Because a lot of the way in which the languages are spoken, there's a sing-song to it. So that intonation is what may sort of like capture you and confuse you. But they are it's very, very close to the Kiswahili language.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Welcome to our audience on KTN Home who join us now for the rest of the hour until the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. And also, we are glad that more and more people are tuned in on SpiceFM and online, where we live stream the show on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as our website, www.spicefm.co.ke. Let's talk about financial fitness. Now, we have a guest in the studio. His name is Steve Downs. He is the CEO of Financially Fit Africa. Steve is an American. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
It's good to have you in the show. We call that seat the hot seat. So enjoy the warmth that will be generated as we have the conversation. So before we go to financial fitness, just tell us about Steve Downs and your journey towards, this.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Eric. Well, again, my name is Steve Down, and I'm from the United States of America. Live in Seattle. Actually, a 20-minute ferry ride from Seattle, there's an island called Whidbey Island, and that's where my wife is asleep right now, I hope, and overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And I'm married. I've been married for 42 years. That's almost a half a century.
Yeah.
7 children, grown up, and I have 12 grandkids. So you might wonder, why am I living here in Nairobi, in perhaps the most beautiful country on earth, Kenya? And there's a little bit of a story. I'd like to just maybe share the short version of that story.
Yes.
It was just a couple of years ago. I was sitting in one of my restaurants called Even Stevens Sandwiches. And this is not your typical restaurant or sandwich shop. It practices what I call cause capitalism. That's spelled C-A-U-S-E, cause capitalism. And cause capitalism is, I'm referred to as the father of cause capitalism in America. And cause capitalism is the new capitalism. It's a kinder, gentler, more compassionate form of capitalism that even my children embrace. And I trademarked the words cause capitalism so that I could control the definition. Cause capitalism is when a for-profit company chooses as its partner a nonprofit, not as a gimmick, but as a true sustainable partner. And with Even Stevens sandwiches, the way it worked is that for every sandwich that we serve, we give a sandwich to the communities hungry, sandwich for sandwich. It worked quite well. Within a couple of years, we had served 3 million sandwiches, and we gave 3 million sandwiches to the communities hungry. So I'm sitting a couple of years ago in my restaurant talking to an ambassador from Africa, very well known, Dr. Clyde Rivers, and by the end of the evening, he invited me to come to Africa. Steve, I want you to come to Kenya, a city called Nairobi. And I told him no. There were interruptions going on with my businesses, and the timing wasn't good. Long story short, here I sit. I'm in perhaps the most beautiful country on earth in this amazing
What
studio.
conversations did you have with Dr. Clyde Rivers that made him want to invite you to Africa?
Well, he was so intrigued by Even Stevens and cause capitalism. He wanted me to bring Even Stevens and cause capitalism to Africa, but then he discovered I had another company, another cause company called Financially Fit. And Financially Fit is a cause company. And he recognized that cause capitalism was just one of the many principles that we teach, one of the many life-changing principles we teach with Financially Fit. And he said, there's so much more. He said, Steve, Financially Fit will change Africa beginning with Kenya. And Financially Fit, by the way, is a cause company. We don't give sandwiches. In this case, we give goats, giving hope by giving goats. And we have events where we deliver, for example, our last goat event, 100 goats to 50 widows in a local village. And I've never had more fun in all my life than giving goats to widows in need.
Right. Okay. So Financially Fit began in the United States.
Yes.
Were you giving goats in the United States?
No.
What was happening with
No.
Financially Fit in the U.S.?
We were providing education to those in need as a scholarship. We're doing that here as well. That's another story for another day. But each one of the companies which I start, for example, I was building a hotel concept. And for every hotel room that you booked, we would provide a reimbursement at a homeless shelter for a family. So it wasn't eat to give, it was stay to give.
Okay.
I was building a 12-story bank in Salt Lake City, Utah, bank to give. I'm now bringing these concepts and these companies to Africa. I never dreamed that I would be living here in Africa. 2 years ago, it wouldn't have even crossed my mind. Kenya, Africa wasn't even on my radar screen, but here I am.
So how does it work exactly? And so what models are we looking at for, Financially Fit? First of all, maybe a definition of what it is that we're trying to get individuals or companies to be when we're talking about Financially Fit.
I have very specific goals, and I have an offer for our viewers and listeners today as well. The goal, and I'd like to speak to Kenya as I speak to you, because I believe that this is relevant to each one of us. First of all, we're going to begin the process of changing the way you feel, think, and act about money, because I'm here to tell you, Ndu, that it's an inside-out approach. For example, I can't take the man or woman out of the slum until I take their heart and their mind out of the slum. Once I do that, they will leave the slum on their own. So I begin the process. Goal number one is to begin the process of changing the way you feel, think, and act about money. Next, at the same time, we're going to look at your cash flow, and we're going to improve your cash flow immediately, because I found that the three biggest financial health concerns in Kenya are as follows. Number one is poor cash flow. Number two, poor cash flow. I bet you could guess what number three is.
Poor cash flow.
Poor cash flow. Thanks.
Well done.
Paying attention
thank you. And so we got to improve Kenya's cash flow. And I have a very specific goal to take the average family, improve their cash flow by $1,000 per month. Let's bring Kenya, to the next level and have them enter the rest of the world when it comes to income, because income is a problem in this society.
How, though, Steve? I'm very interested to know how, because I think then ears are perked immediately. When you say $1,000 a month, improve your cash flow, that means an extra 110,000 shillings per month.
Yes.
What miracles are these?
That's a miracle, isn't it? If we accomplish that, that's a miracle. Stephen Colonzo, His Excellency, he said, Steve, if you accomplish that, that's revolutionary, because I told him 1 million people in the next 2 years earning $1,000 per month, in addition to what they're already earning. I know our time is limited this morning, but there's only 2 ways you can improve cash flow. You can reduce expenses by spending less, or you can increase income by earning more. We do help you on the reducing expenses, but there's only so much you can do to reduce your expenses. Well, for example, we have a buying club called the Financially Fit Member Discount Club, which entitles you to 10% discounts on the things you're already buying. Here in Nairobi, we're adding 20 businesses per day. These are retailers and so forth, reducing what you're spending. And that's by the way, a tremendous value that we're going to offer for free to our listeners today. But the thing I like focusing more on is increasing income. That's more exciting. That's more fun. And I have some strategies to increase income. One way is for you to join this revolution as an affiliate. This is not multi-level marketing, by the way, because I hear that a lot. Steve, we've been inundated with all these business opportunities. Some of them are controversial. Some of them are money games. Well, I teach you how to understand the difference between legitimate business and some type of a money game or money scheme. Kenya has got to become educated financially to avoid those entrapments. So I have some real hard-hitting strategies to increase income.
Can I ask you a question, Steve?
Yes, sir.
I am taking the view that the strategies you speak of have been implemented in certain places and they have actually worked.
Yes.
Can you tell us about some of the places where you've operationalized these strategies and how they have worked and how people have benefited?
Well, Mugu, that's a great question. And one very practical way is simply providing jobs for Kenyans. It disturbs me. It shocks me when I hear of college students selling bananas on roundabouts. You know, these are kids with college degrees, and so the first thing I like to address is providing jobs. That's why my brother asked me, Steve, you're building these amazing companies in America, but now you're in Nairobi and you're going to build them here in Nairobi, Kenya. Why? The answer was very simple. Dave, Kenyans need jobs. They need practical jobs. And since we teach cause capitalism, we teach what is called a voluntary minimum wage. I'm talking about jobs that provide an income where people can live with dignity.
So as I understand you, Steve, so there are 2 things that you've been doing in Seattle. One was the cause capitalism, where from, let's say, your restaurants, you're selling for every, what was it? Hot
Sandwich
dog?
we serve.
Sandwich.
We would give a sandwich to
You
the
give a
community
sandwich
who's hungry.
to the community.
Sandwich for sandwich.
All right. And then now you came up with a financially fit organization still in America. How does that work in the States? How does that work in Seattle? What exactly do you do?
We provide, well, we began this way, Eric. We provided a world-class personal wealth education, and we charged an average of $6,500 for that education.
Okay.
Now, that could never work on a global basis. You know, the United States is a unique market, and it's a prosperous society, and the standard of living is probably perhaps the highest in the world, as at least we claim, and so I wanted to take what I was providing to Americans and changing their lives, and I wanted
in America, you would provide the training on wealth management. Coaching.
Yeah, I call it. I'm a wealth coach.
On wealth management.
Yes.
So how does that work? So is it people subscribe and then they join a class? Is it online, or is
That's
it
exactly
physical?
right. That's exactly right. And from a very practical perspective, and what I think our viewers and listeners would like to hear right now is that, because they're already thinking, okay, $6,500, over $5,000 for a financial education doesn't work for my family. we will provide a world-class personal wealth education for, in U.S. dollars, $10, that's 1,000 shilling. For 1,000 shilling, we will deliver to Kenya.
I'm trying to
in
focus
Africa.
first on what has worked. Before we talk about now what the proposal is here.
Sure.
What has worked in Seattle? So you rolled out this wealth coaching.
Yes.
And people would enroll for $6,000. What would they get?
And so I shared with you the first goal was to change the way you feel, think, and act about money, because I'm here to tell you, Eric, that it truly is an inside-out approach. I've got to change the way you feel, think, and act about money. I dedicated my life to studying the wealthy. I came from a poor village and a poor family. My father was a high school janitor, cleaned the washrooms and floors of the local high school. And my mother today is a millionaire. I became a millionaire by understanding how the wealthy feel, think, and act about money. That we're going to improve your cash flow, because cash flow is to your financial health. It's like the cardiovascular health to your physical health. We got to improve your cash flow.
Yeah.
Another goal that we've achieved in America that's hard hitting is to get you out of debt in 5 years, including paying off your house.
Okay.
And I know right now we have many viewers and listeners thinking, well, Steve, we don't have that lifestyle. We don't own a home. We live in a modest dwelling and it's a lease. Well, I'd like to get you in to that home in a nice neighborhood and pay that home off in
So
5
how did you
years.
conduct it then the wealth coaching? Once someone has paid the $6,000, I'm talking about the Seattle audience first. Once somebody paid the $6,000 and you took them through these steps, would it be practical? Would you now sit down with them and tell them, so this is where your money is leaking and this is how you can seal those loopholes. This is how you change your thinking about money, and this is how you deal with your debt, and this is that what you would do?
Yes.
So
Eric,
how many would you say?
We don't leave it to chance. I take you through a curriculum that changed my life. It's called Financially Fit for Life, the 7 steps, 33 exercises. This is not a reading program. This is an exercise program.
It's practical.
And very practical, life-changing. I've had many members of Parliament here actually on this program. They're saying every member of Parliament needs this. Everyone in Kenya needs this right now. Such as Honorable Okoh, who said, Steve, please use my name and I will endorse this program, because I want my staff, my members of Parliament, and my family on this program right now. Financially Fit for Life, the 7 steps, 33 financial exercises. I take you through the process of a wealth awakening. I change the way you feel, think, and act about money. We improve your cash flow. We show you how to get out of debt in 5 years, including paying off your house. But the most exciting step to me is step 6. It's wealth for life. I teach that wealth is not earned. Wealth is created. And once you understand the principles of wealth creation, you can create wealth again and again. And you might be wondering, what even qualifies me to teach this? And if we can have time to share that with our audiences, I'd like to share with you what qualifies me. So I've done it for myself, and I've done it for thousands of people in the United States.
What's your professional background?
I went to 4 years of college, didn't finish with a degree, ADD, attention deficit disorder, but I received what I wanted from a formal education. My education is from the University of Hard Knocks. That's where I have my bachelor's, master's, and PhD, and from the University of Hard Knocks. And from a very practical perspective, I worked as a financial planner for 12 years. I owned the largest fee-only financial planning service in America, 10,000 not clients but representatives. That gave me some experience. But I don't think that those work experiences are what qualify me best of all. What best qualifies me is that I've done it for myself. I went from a poor village, changing the way I feel, think, and act about money. My mother today is a millionaire practicing these principles. And I'm also the guy that had a lot of debt at one time. This may sound crazy at first, but I found myself following the calamity of a business mishap, $3 million in debt.
Which business was this, if I may ask?
It was a business called IDC, Investors Dynamics Corporation, many, many years ago. That's a story in and of itself. But the bottom line is I found myself $3 million in debt. And the way I looked at it was that if God gave me the capacity to get into this kind of a financial situation, a merciful God would give me the capacity to overcome. And without filing bankruptcy, I overcame that $3 million of debt. Now keep in mind, that's 3 million shilling times 100. That's significant debt. I overcame
but
it.
Stephen, if I look at the history of your sandwich company, even Stephen, one sees situations in which some of your outlets filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah,
now,
that's a story in and of itself. Yes. I told you that when I was having lunch with an ambassador,
yes,
the Doc Rivers, he invited me to come to Kenya. I told him no. I told him that my businesses, my 6 businesses, were in a very serious interruption. I was under attack. I didn't learn it for another year that this was that this attack was organized crime. Organized crime had borne false witness to government agencies, and when they opened up the files, they brought in the media. The media is very powerful, is it not?
Oh, it's extremely
brought
powerful.
In the media, and 2 years later, I found myself, my personal net worth, which was approaching $100 million, was suddenly a few $1 million. I told him no about coming to Kenya. And it was after this experience, as I was walking along the beach, asking God, why? And the answer that came to me, and this is a long story, it's impossible to convey this story and to answer this question in the course of this short interview.
It is. You see, the reason why I brought it up is because if you had a business that has had issues to the point of declaring bankruptcy, I would have been interested in finding how you use these same principles to get this business out of this quagmire of bankruptcy that it got into, because that, to me,
is a lesson now.
Yes.
A practical lesson to apply. Let's take a break. It's 29 minutes after 8. We have in the studio with us Steve Down. He is the CEO of Financially Fit Africa. He's saying why financial fitness is crucial for your physical and mental health, and he's telling us about it. So we've got a number of questions just to try and understand the business, the model, and everything else that we're talking about this morning. We'll be back after this short break. We're live on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, and online.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
If I'm found guilty, there is no problem. I'm willing to serve. I have no problem. Jails are meant for human beings.
They say a society gets the leadership it deserves. If you have a corrupt, crooked and rotten society like we have in Kenya, then of course they will get that kind of a leadership.
I think the president should dissolve parliament. That's the best solution at this moment in time. Dissolve parliament.
All of you go home.
Yes, we all go home.
How are we encouraging other people who might have new and creative ideas? Young people who are making money without any government help. They are just buying their own bundles. They are going on TikTok and making money. KRA is coming after them.
I've been in parliament for 15 years. We have been unable to pass the gender law. And yet no presidential candidate is talking about it now. Because we are fake. The truth is, all the men refused to vote for that law.
What did Sonko do to Pumwani Maternity Hospital?
Yeah, he
with
cleaned
his
it
own
up.
money.
Cleaned it with his own money. That was him as an individual.
Yeah. And I did not say he was cleaning his own money. I was saying he cleaned
Foot, mouth. Foot, mouth. Eric.
Okay.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
From 2019, she has stayed with 6 different people. You know, we are saving money. There's no need for him to be renting in this side.
And I'm renting this side.
No.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is an avenue for women to con men. Let me just be very honest with you people. Today we are talking about performing marriage duties while you're still dating. Why are you paying rent and this is not your wife? We need to start holding each other accountable. For those people who are dating, learn to buy your own bed.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840. The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is back. Virtual marathon and elite marathon. Sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings only and run from wherever you are or from select hotspots around Nairobi. To register, visit www.nairobimarathon.com. Choose your preferred distance from 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, or 42 kilometers, and decide the day you will run between 25th and 31st October 2021. To track your run, download and use the Strava app. When you register, you will receive a race kit that includes a shirt, medal, and bag. Kits will be collected
The
at
weather
either
with
KICC.
SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions at 17 in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 15. It's partly sunny at 17 in Nakuru. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 15. 14 will be the low in Nyeri, where it's cloudy at 16, going to highs of 24. And in Eldoret, partly cloudy at 16, highs of 24 and lows of 13. We're looking at sunny conditions in Mombasa through today at 27, going to highs of 30. And in Malindi, partly sunny at 27. 24 will be the low, going to highs of 30. Kisumu is sunny at 22, highs of 29 and lows of 19. And Kakamega is sunny at 22 with highs of 28. We'll see lows of 15. Out in Kampala, it's cloudy at 20, highs of 28 and lows of 17. Sunny conditions in Dar es Salaam at 26, highs of 30 and lows of 23. Johannesburg is sunny at 12, highs of 22, and we're looking at cloudy conditions at 24. In Lagos, highs of 30 and lows of 24. In Kinshasa, raining at 23. That'll be today's low, going to highs of 31. Okay, that Uhuru Highway stretch is where we're going to see the most traffic this morning, feeding in from most parts of the city today. Ngong Road, coming off of Mbagathi Way with a little bit of traffic here and there. Not too bad though. Jogo Road actually is still quite jam-packed. Aerodrome Road feeding off to Uhuru Highway has been an issue this morning, quite a sticky one. Not so bad on the Thika Superhighway getting into the city, however. Coming out of Westlands, looking a lot better than it was an hour ago. We'll keep an eye on things and see how it progresses through the morning. North Airport Road, then leading in that general direction, had some issues. The Southern Bypass looking pretty good, as does the Eastern, Northern, and the Red Hill Link Road, feeding off into several parts of the city. It's not too bad keeping things at a dull roar this morning. Let's keep it that way, folks. Should it get a little bit crazier, do talk to us on SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Let's chat on text 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice
The conversation
FM.
continues. It's 25 minutes to 9. This is the Situation Room on SpiceFM on KTN Home and online. In the room is CT Muga Ndu Okoh, Eric Latiff, and joining us in the hot seat is Steve Down. He is a CEO of Financially Fit Africa. We are talking about financial fitness and how this is crucial for your physical and mental health as well. So, Steve, as we took the break, you were telling us about the program and how you've been running the program, Financially Fit in America, and how you want to roll it out now in Africa. So, what is it? What's the program about? If we talk about what you're launching in Nairobi.
Yes, and there's a question that's kind of an elephant in the room, a question that remains unanswered, and that is my story in the United States with the interruptions. And as I was explaining to CT Muga during the break. It's impossible for me to share that story in this short interview, but our viewers will be able to see it on a 3-segment Netflix series for documentary, what the producer regards as the most important business story in the 21st century America, and that will be aired in the spring. We actually have one segment that was done the media came here to film that. But let me talk about the most important subject to our viewers and our listeners right now, and that is how will they become financially fit for life? How will they improve their cash flow, get out of debt, and create wealth? Because I have some very hard-hitting, exciting goals for Kenya. One is for Kenya for us to create 1 million new millionaires in U.S. dollars in the next 2 years in Kenya. Now, I know that media is my toughest audience in the world, and they would receive a goal like that, a vision like that, with skepticism, and rightly so, because they see themselves as checks and balances and perhaps the marketplace and so forth. But we have some very hard-hitting strategies. I've done everything that I teach. I've resolved $3 million of debt without filing bankruptcy. I did it in 3.5 years. I've created wealth many times in my career. Wealth is not earned. Wealth is created. Once you understand the principles of wealth creation, you can create wealth again and again. So let's talk about how our listeners, in a practical way, can become financially fit for life. This program I sold in America for over $5,000. My average client spent $6,500 in U.S. dollars for a world-class personal wealth education. I knew that would never work in Africa. I tested at $100 down and $10 a month, and I realized this is not within reach of the average Kenyan. And so we now offer our entire program, a world-class personal wealth education, for just 1,000 shilling in the first year, 100 shilling per year thereafter. Now, along with that is a guarantee, and that is once you go through the Financially Fit for Life program, the 33 exercises, and we know whether or not you participated in the 7-course meal in a sense. Once you have the meal, and if it's not everything that we represent it to be, a life-changing experience where it will change your financial life forever, I will give you 100% refund on your 1,000 shilling.
So what are you supposed to do? Buy the book or enroll into a program?
It's an online program, Eric, and it's and if I may, in case anyone needs to leave right now that's viewing or listening, if they go to star 483, again that's star 483 star 229 hash. Again, that's star 483 star 229 hash. And they can purchase the online program. I represent it to be a world-class personal wealth education. There's not a person around this table right here that where I wouldn't take your financial life to the next level, and I guarantee it.
So who's the target audience? Now we're looking at Kenya. Who is the target audience that essentially would be able to benefit from this? Because then there are certain things that you say clearly are needed. So there is of course, the financial contribution. If it's an online course, then at the same time, you then need to have access to the tools to do this. So who would your target audience be?
Well, Ndu, the only people that I can serve are those who have a pulse.
Anybody who's alive.
It's the owners of this media group, everyone around this table, every senior leader, every person who lives in Kibera. I'm here to tell you that I can take anyone to the next level as a wealth coach, and but for most people in this country, they are looking for basic changes. They want to improve their cash flow. They want to reduce or get rid of their debt, and they want to learn how to create wealth.
The how is what I'm not getting, Steve, and I'm sorry I've got to ask you this many times. So I've done the star 483 star 229 hash. The first thing it asks me, give your last name. Second step, give your email address. Third step, it asks you, are you willing to subscribe to this? Say yes by pressing 1, or get more information. If I press 1, it already takes me to the M-Pesa page, and it asks me whether I want to pay 1,000 shillings to receive my plan. I don't know what I'm paying 1,000 shillings for. by that stage.
Yeah, it's an online program.
So what am I paying for?
It's we all understand education, right? We know what education is and the value of education.
Yes.
Then when it comes to education, what is the future of education? It's online. The largest university in the world is a university called the University of Phoenix in America. They have 30 million students. They deliver great education online. That's the future of education. We provide a world-class personal wealth education online. But we're not charging, we're not charging $1,000.
How different is Financially Fit from the others that have been covered in the news that were providing wealth creation education online and then they turned up to be all scam?
Maybe you can test the program yourself, Eric,
and
you can tell me in our next interview.
I don't want to pay $1,000, Bob, yet.
Yeah, perhaps you can tell me on our next interview what's different. I can tell you, I haven't gone through the Kenyan financial education programs. I don't intend to do so. I've dedicated my life to creating a world-class personal wealth education that my clients paid $6,500 for. On average, some paid $12,000, some paid $3,000. On average, $6,500. I am providing for $10 with 100% money-back guarantee.
How many days? How many days is the coaching?
It's ongoing.
So if I register today, for example, how long will I be on the course program? 10 days, forever? What is it?
It's 1,000 shilling for the first year, and then it's 100 shilling per year thereafter if you'd like to continue.
What shall I be receiving?
So what do I get? Do I get tips on a daily basis? Do I sit in class for an hour every day?
You receive, that's a good question. The first thing we're going to do, it includes daily education, weekly education, and monthly education. Okay. I know I can't hit you with a fire hose of information. You can only receive
in beats, in doses,
in a way that you can receive it and digest it. But the first thing we're going to take you through that we recommend is in the interactive Financially Fit for Life program. This book on Amazon is $30, by the way. You don't get a hard copy of the book because that simply wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't even pay probably for the shipping of this book.
Yeah.
It's online, but it's interactive. I've spent a tremendous amount of money to turn basically what we provided in America on one-on-one coaching over the telephone and computer. We've turned into an interactive computer program for 1,000 shilling with a 100% money-back guarantee if you're not thrilled with the program after participating in the Financially Fit for Life 7 Steps. It includes all of my books. I'm an author of 5 books.
Yep.
It includes all 5 books, but it's daily, weekly, and monthly education. This is not education that you can receive at the University of Nairobi. It's not. University of Nairobi is a world-class university, but professors, college professors cannot teach what they don't know. And I've dedicated my life to learning what I refer to as principle-centered wealth. And this is a life-changing program. We had 100% satisfaction rate with our clients in America who paid an average of over $5,000 US.
Steve, what do you do with people who live in some of our more disadvantaged areas who cannot even afford 1,000 shillings?
That's a good question. We have a scholarship program that if they work through their spiritual advisor, their spiritual leader, that we'll provide it. I was advised not to even discuss that on the air because it's it's opening up another subject, of course, and but I'm here on a mission, and Muga, I'm here on a mission. I'm not here to enrich myself because before I got here, I was already wealthy. I came here for 10 days. It changed my life. I then prepared for several months to return. I got COVID-19 before I came, so it delayed me a little bit. I've been here since January 1st. Since I've been here, I've just been educating. I've been giving goats at my expense to widows in this country. I've been giving books. One of my family members asked me, Steve, Steve, what do you do for a living? Well, I provide lunch and give books to leaders in Kenya so that we can inspire change in this nation. And so maybe I already forgot the question you asked me. I apologize, CT, but would you repeat the question, because I might have gotten a little bit offline.
The people who probably needed most, who actually don't
So
even have the money.
We have scholarships. One thing I wanted to do is to make it all inclusive. So when I arrived here, what I discovered, first of all, is I discovered that Kenya spiritually is very strong. Financially, Kenya is weak. And I felt that if Kenya could become as strong financially as Kenya is spiritually, Kenya would become a leader on the world stage because of their spiritual strength. And so I saw it as a personal mission to help Kenya become financially strong.
Are you aware that Kenyans actually feel they're already leaders on the world stage?
Well, I believe they are on a spiritual level.
No, even on a financial level, despite being a third world country, we actually think and believe that we are already leaders on the continent and outside the continent. We actually believe that. So when you say you want to get us to be leaders, you are telling us you want us to be what we already are.
Well, see, CT, I believe that even in America, people can become more financially fit.
Yes,
and
anywhere in the world they can.
And what has been a consensus of the leaders that I've met with, political and religious leaders and media leaders, is that financial education is lacking in this society. You have the liberty, CT Muga, of differing in that opinion, and you would be the first person that I've heard that from. But I've never had an audience this tough since I've been here, quite frankly. And if you think otherwise, then perhaps I can't serve you, CT Muga. Perhaps you're one person I can't serve. And people that you're thinking of, maybe I can't serve them. But the people that I've met with so far, the spiritual leaders, I met with a who's who of government and church, and they tell me that this is desperately needed in the Kenyan society. But you know something? Not to sound critical of Kenya and judgmental of Kenya, it's needed in the entire globe. Post-COVID-19, everyone needs more cash flow. Everyone wants more wealth. This is a very difficult time for Kenya. And if our listeners agree with you that they don't need this, then maybe it's time for me to go home.
I think what the listeners would want to know is that they have a guarantee that they are putting their money into something that can actually guarantee them a return. It's been in the news. It's been in the news, for example, some company that's been operating across Africa was reported on the BBC, has been covered on Al Jazeera, operating and offering the same. It's saying that we are offering you financial empowerment through online programs. And upon further investigation, then it's realized that the people who are behind this are actually copying material from other sources.
They're essentially plagiarizing.
They're plagiarizing other people's material and saying that this is the courses that we're offering you. And then you end up finding out that what you've bought, you're told now next thing is you buy a certain package here. Next thing you buy another certain package to qualify, to unlock the third level. Now, those have already been experienced by people, especially our audience. They consume this information on a regular basis. So many of them would be asking themselves, so how is Steve Downs different from what we've seen before? If, for example, I'm told by Steve Downs, dial 483*229#, I dial it and I see it's asking for my name, it's asking for my email address, and the next thing it's asking for 1,000 shillings to be paid directly via M-Pesa. And it says, I have a guarantee in 30 days, if I'm dissatisfied, I will get my 1,000 bob back. Now, maybe we can start with how many people so far have applied to get the 1,000 bob back? Do you have any people who've come in and said, this is not the kind of thing for me, so please, Steve, just give me my 1,000 bob?
When I arrived here, I came here and I tested our program for $100 down and $10 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It was succeeding. We sold a few hundred programs, but I came to the realization that if I'm going to help the people in the villages, it's not priced correctly. So we've retooled. We have a platform, a computer program, because it was developed to work internationally and to also pay our affiliates a commission who become representatives, affiliate representatives. And so we've retooled and we're now rolling out. My first interview yesterday was with was with TV 47. It was the first time I've offered the $10 program. And one thing I wanted to do is to offer a 30-day guarantee so that we could overcome the concerned people that they might have. I don't anticipate very many refunds. Anyone who goes through the program, Financially Fit for Life, the 7 steps, that they're required to actually demonstrate that they went through the program. We lay out a 7-course meal, and we guarantee if it's not the best meal you've ever had, we're going to refund the cost of your, the price of your meal. But we do expect you to consume it if we provide it for you. You demonstrate that, we'll give you a 100%
So I've got to
refund
demonstrate that I've actually
your
gone
demand.
through the program.
Right.
If I enroll and the first piece of information that I receive does not really satisfy me, can I opt out, or must I opt out after consuming the 7-course meal?
Yes, absolutely, 100% guarantee.
I can only opt out after consuming the entire 7-course meal.
That's right.
Okay.
I cannot opt out at soup stage. I don't like tomato soup, and I find that that's what you're offering.
I'm assuming that you're acting in good faith.
Yes.
That you truly want to become financially fit for life. If that's the case, then you're my customer. If you want to change your financial life, and so yes, it's a very generous refund, 100% refund that you can only benefit.
Steve,
but it does require a good faith effort on your part.
Even on the platform, do you think that it is important for people to have prior information about what they're getting into before they pay?
Well, absolutely, and I'm here to present to you the benefits of this program, and let our viewers and our listeners come to their own conclusion regarding my sincerity, my passion for what I do. If for any reason you see a reason not to do it, then I can't serve you. I understand it's a buyer decision.
Yeah.
But when I bought this suit of clothes, I was able to try it on. And by the way, the provider of this suit of clothes didn't provide me a 100% guarantee after the suit was tailored for me. Basically, I bought the suit. So buyer beware. And trust is a sacred thing.
Yeah.
And I believe that all I can do is express from my heart, as sincerely as I can, that I am here to serve you as my brothers and sisters in Kenya, and I'm providing a program I sold in America for $5,000 for $10 with a 100% refund, and I'm here to change your life. No one so far has questioned my sincerity because they know that I'm a happily married man. My wife is here for 6 weeks. They've met her. I think what's maybe in part different is that the programs that you've been talking about, I've never met these CEOs. I don't know who they are, where they come from. I hear from the spiritual and political leaders that there's been a lot of scams that have hit Kenya really hard.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do, I just filmed the other day a segment, what I call the Wealth Wake-Up Call, which teaches you how to understand the difference between legitimate business and a scam. It's education. And so, but I'm here on TV, facing the toughest audience I've faced since I've been here, answering the tough questions. And if our listeners and our viewers don't buy into my sincerity and the passion of what I do, then I can't help you. But I believe that I already know that there are many who are willing to test the program because they have the desire to change their financial lives.
Indeed, and of course. I mean, people make individual decisions based on information. And it's important that somebody makes a decision based on the information that they have consumed. My final question before we conclude the conversation this morning. So is Financially Fit registered in Kenya as a company? Is it under any regulation?
Yes, we're registered. I have a permanent residence here. We have a permanent company. We have employees. We pay Kenya taxes, Kenyan taxes on with our employees. I believe that we've. I've been here for many months, and it took a lot longer than I'd even hoped for to really get established and to do it right here in Kenya. So we're though we're a subsidiary of our company in America, we are a registered company here in Kenya.
And are you regulated by any authority? Do you report to anybody? Do you report to, let's say you're taking people's money? Do you report maybe to the Education Ministry? You're offering education services. Do you report to the Central Bank of Kenya?
Well, I have a great law firm that manages that side of things. We're education. I don't think that is regulated by the banking system or the reserve system. We are an education company, but but we're doing our best to make sure that we're in compliance with all the national laws of Kenya, and being a legitimate business.
Steve, thank you very much for joining us today. Steve Down is the CEO of Financially Fit Africa. We've been talking about financial fitness and how you can get there, and also understanding financial fit and what he's rolling out in the country. Asante sana for joining us.
And can we make this call one more time? Star 483, star 229 hash. And if you participate today, we're going to give you the Financially Fit Discount Club for free, where you have access to a 10% discount on hundreds of retailers in Nairobi and throughout Kenya. We're adding 20 retailers per day. Please join with us. I'll give you a 100% guarantee if you go through the program in 30 days. If for any reason whatsoever, if it's not everything that we represent it to be, a world-class personal wealth education, then we'll give you a 100% refund on your purchase.
Asante sana. And we've been live on KTN Home. We want to say thank you for everybody who's been watching us on KTN Home. The conversations continue on SpiceFM around the country: Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Eldoret, Nyeri and Malindi, as well as online. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice.
No, this wheelbarrow, how can you give people wheelbarrow? His party symbol is an umbrella. Is he distributing umbrellas in McQueen?
Have you been told if we don't lock between 10 to 4, this is what we're saving?
You try and call them, the same person who was in your house every day, because they know you are influential and you will give them votes. Call them after 1 month and see if they'll pick up their phone.
Don't tell your member of parliament that you want him to come and build a school, you want him to come and do a hospital. That is not the work of the member. Now that we have devolution in this country, these resources should go to those devolved units.
You have to have strong, independent institutions. And I mean, you have to have police who has the right to take the biggest town in the country and question, why did you do this and that, and send them to court if necessary.
Joel in Kericho, good morning.
Salama sana Eric, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama kabisa. Mbunge wako ni nani?
Anaitwa Seriousness Maritim, hapa ni Ainamoi.
Seriousness Maritim, Aina.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The Ministry of Health says most ASAL counties are recording the lowest number of people being vaccinated against COVID-19 due to drought, culture and limited health facilities. Acting Health DG Patrick Amoth, however, says they'll be prioritized in receiving the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine, as well as advocate for the distribution of food and the vaccine at the same time.
The challenges with ASAL counties like Marsabit, Turkana, Wajir, Mandera, one is the vastness, the number of health facilities in terms of the geographical distance, and of course the various health-seeking behavior of that particular community. And we are working with the counties to be able to develop micro plans with these particular counties to target specific segments of the population for outreach vaccination activities, and also mapping out various partners. And even though we are facing a drought situation, again, this is a big opportunity opportunity, because when the Ministry of ASAL is distributing food, big opportunity for us to be able to plug in and use that as a latitude to also be able to offer the vaccines.
This event comes as the government last evening received 504,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine to boost the vaccination exercise. Herders and pastoralist communities are counting losses after losing their animals partly due to the ongoing drought in Marsabit County. Over 500 herd of livestock have died, while 100,000 more are at risk as more water puddles continue to dry up. Nearly 200,000 people also require humanitarian assistance as the drought situation in the county continues to bite. Marsabit Deputy Governor Solomon Gubo says he has received a report on the situation and they are working out strategies to solve the situation.
Just learned that there are some animals dying in Civico, that is around Mount Bulal, some animals dying around Kana because of a lack of pasture and so on. That's going on, but I think from the report that I have, around 500 animals, shorts of animals, that is goats and the sheep, have died so far. If there's no food, there's no water, there is conflict.
County Chief Officer Livestock Wario Sori said with two failed rainy seasons, the farming situation is likely to get worse.
Tropical livestock units are at risk of drought, and this was estimated in August. So now animals are already dying. A number of them have been constrained at home and they are competing with the households, for feed. People are giving actually what they are feeding on to their animals.
Medical insurers paid out 1.3 billion shillings to cover treatment of COVID-19 between March 2020 to June 2021. New data shows this is 74% of the total claims lodged with insurers, which stood at 1.7 billion shillings, according to the Association of Kenya Insurers data. Following the onset of COVID-19 in March 2020, some insurers excluded it in their policies, while some had no mention of it. The rejected claims during the period stood at 396 million shillings, representing 23.3% of the total claims. The remaining 3%, 37 million shillings, is outstanding due to various policy conditions or terms. 2 of the 5 suspects who went missing from Manga Children's Prison in Nyeri County have been arrested. Both 16-year-old Kevin Ogaro and 19-year-old Vicky Osiemo were arrested earlier today in Malindi Village, Mugirango West, where they were hiding. Nyeri County Commissioner Amos Mariba said the suspects, who are facing charges of defamation and robbery, had been arrested with a tear gas canister, which they believed had disappeared from Manga Prison yesterday. The suspects are currently being held at Nyamira Police Station, while the search for the 3 others continues. DCI detectives have launched a manhunt for a suspect who raped his 90-year-old mother on Mashujaa Day in Boni, Makueni County before going into hiding. The woman was found in her bedroom by her eldest son, writhing in pain, complaining of waist pains. Doctors carried out tests on the woman and confirmed that she had been raped. She is currently admitted in hospital. DCI boss George Kinoti is appealing to the public and to Patrick Momongege to surrender to the nearest police station before the law catches up with him. And in international news, Queen Elizabeth II spent the night at a hospital while undergoing preliminary investigations, according to a Buckingham Palace spokesperson, after abruptly cancelling a planned trip to Northern Ireland this week. The 95-year-old UK monarch entered the hospital on Wednesday and returned to Windsor Castle on Thursday, the spokesperson also stated. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, guys, so we're still looking at traffic coming off Uhuru Highway today. This is where it's been hottest and heaviest this morning. We're also seeing then feeding off into Outer Ring today. Quite a lot of traffic. Langata Road is still a little bit of a pickle this morning, as well as the area just around Pangani. It's basically done on the Thika Super Highway this morning. Traffic hour ended there a while ago. So hopefully, as we sort out this Uhuru Highway thing, then it should look better. Coming out of Western, still a little bit of traffic there. Limuru Road is quite the one to contend with this morning. A little bit of patience sprinkled here and there should be able to help the situation. Talk to us on Spice FM KE should things get a little bit hairier. Text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It is 7
the
minutes
only
after 9.
way.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is The Situation Room. We're live on SpiceFM and we live stream the show online. But also, we have a Digo proverb with City Muga.
Yes. Chamfupi, chiriwa nimure.
Chamfupi, chiriwa nimure.
Something belonging to a short person is often taken by a taller person.
Mfupi short, mure long, tall. Mfupi is the longer word, it means the short person. Mure is the shorter word, it means the tall person.
Okay. Mure is a shorter word meaning the taller person.
Yes. Whoa. Okay. So the president lifted the curfew. There has been celebration on all over social media. I saw a clip though that was shared on social media. It sounds like there are two women in a car. And this one woman is in the passenger seat and she's recording a video and she's saying, Uhuru rudisha curfew. Rudisha curfew Uhuru. Sasa tuko hapa nje tunatafuta wazee wetu wako wapi? Wamekuwa wakiingia kwa nyumba saa 3, sasa hawako. And then she's filming and says, saa hii ni saa 5, angalia. And it's busy.
Bustling.
Oh, yes.
You know the bit about that particular clip that I like? She says, hata mimi nilipata mimba.
Yeah.
Sasa, I'm
wakati wa curfew.
I said, hey, God Almighty.
Looking back at the benefits of curfew. So the man was home. We are expanding our family.
You know what we're dealing with here is something very, not cryptic, something that is, should we say, illuminating human nature. Remember we talked about 1 Samuel chapter 8. Israelites and they're wanting a king.
Yes.
Okay? Lift the curfew.
No,
what
no,
do you
no,
think?
You know, there is lift the curfew. No, you see, there is still spread of red.
Lift the curfew. Lift the curfew.
You see, during the curfew time, we saw a reduction in the number of reported cases of burglary.
It's okay.
Lift the curfew.
Higher.
Incidences of accidents on the road almost got to 0.
Yes.
It's okay.
Lift the curfew. All right? Lift the curfew. Curfew lifted.
Curfew lifted.
Yeah. Mr. President, what did you do?
However, are there downsides to the lifting of the curfew now?
I am actually looking at it from this particular perspective. Even before that curfew was lifted, Kenyans were looking for every which way to abrogate that curfew. Finding spots where you could go if you want to drink outside those hours. Doing all sorts of crazy things. It's just that with time, the law of habit caught up with us and people figured, you know something, this being home early is also not a problem. There's some benefits. I may be spending less or I may not even have money to spend, so I'm going to be at home anyway. Though in reality, people who like to socialize and spend money on socializing will find the money to spend on socializing.
Oh, they'll find it somehow.
Yes. It's domestic demands that they find a bit mundane, and that is what they complain about. But money to have a good time, people seem to always have money to have a good time. What the opening does is not an opening of a Pandora's box. It's not just an opening of the lid. Suddenly what you have before you is a situation where the likelihood of people literally going overboard. Now, the test will be this weekend.
Indeed.
Beginning today. What do we think is going to happen? I am predicting one thing that is certainly going to happen. Not might happen, certainly, most definitely. COVID numbers will shoot up. Shoot. It'll go to levels that we had never seen before. Now, Eric and I remember discussing this in the morning, and the issue was, Eric said, no, we won't lock it down. I'm saying, they'll shoot up to the point where we'll lock down the country again.
City,
please.
Do you think you are going to witness at any point in this country people congregating at night in such large numbers as we see people congregating during the day?
No.
Let me give you examples. The political rallies that we've seen, and let's just pick the ones who are calling themselves the horses in the race, all right? The Deputy President and the former Prime Minister. Wherever these two gentlemen have gone, crowds have thronged their meetings.
Mammoth crowds.
Mammoth crowds during the day. What we saw yesterday, for example, with Raila Odinga in Gatondo, right? The kind of people that were together.
The thronging.
The thronging. Are you likely to see any kind of thronging at night?
No.
So why would you think that lifting of the curfew is what would lead to a sharp increase in the number of infections?
Not lead. Add to and augment. And I will give you the reasons why I am saying this.
Okay.
One of the things we know about the COVID virus is this. It spreads faster in confined spaces. Just fact. Not me saying what I would like to say. Just fact.
Okay.
Now, the thing about lifting the curfew and the opening up of social establishments, or cultural establishments as I call them, is that many of these establishments are in confined spaces. So an opportunity for the virus to replicate and to propagate itself will be heightened. That is what I am saying. And when it is heightened, what it will mean, therefore, is that, remember, you're talking about this. Yes, throngs like the ones we see in rallies, we will not see. But what we certainly will see, there will be talk of COVID rules still applying to public gatherings, blah, blah, blah. We know how that has applied, all right? But now when you legalize it, think of any formal gatherings that previously people were afraid of and tell me what the lifting of the curfew will be interpreted to mean with regards to funerals, with regards to weddings, with regards to church services, with regard to any formal gathering that people were previously used to and which they were cautious about now. Tell me what the lifting of the curfew will be interpreted as. Open season.
Yes.
But of course, but that's what we're saying. That you've gotten to a time where politically everything now is being fueled. That's it. So the last one that was going to release the nail from the coffin was what?
Allowing people to drink at night.
Allowing people to drink at night.
Because
allowing people to
other
travel
things.
at night.
Yeah.
Everything else you had already done. You're having huge gatherings in different cities around the country, right? And basically what you've done is that you've opened up the country politically. Now, to give people a sense of appeasement, you say, all right, these things that we've been holding on to for the last 1 year, all right, open it up now. Travel at night, drink at night, gather at night, do it, because everything else we're already doing anyway.
Yes.
But that's what it is. This is the curtain call for political season. So this was the last one. This was the last one. You think the same people who are making sure that everybody then can move freely as they like are then going to come back, COVID or not, and say, actually, you know what we've seen? We've seen a spike in COVID cases. Let's shut it down. Absolutely not. It's not going to fuel their needs.
Actually, that's what I'm saying, that it will happen. You know why? You know, COVID is a problem for one simple reason. It kills people.
Yes.
It kills them quickly. It kills them also in large numbers.
Yes.
And we don't seem to have the capacity to actually contain it. Not the sort of capacity that is actually required of us.
Yes.
Now, what I'm saying is, we will be balancing the number of deaths, which will be on the increase. Road accidents will be on the increase. All these murders and things that we've been reporting here, they'll be on the increase. Okay? Now, you are telling me that the sort of thing that, unfortunately, the inadvertent effect of COVID and the curfew that was necessitated by it have brought into being. The complete opposite of it, which will, in my opinion, I'm not being a naysayer here, will actually mirror near mayhem in the country. You're telling me that this will not bring about a situation where people will pause and say, did we actually make the right decision?
If we're talking about factors, right? X to power 5, X to power 7. If we look at the political gatherings during the day, and the contribution that they could have to the rise in the number of infections, I would put that at X to power 75. If you look at curfew and the lifting of curfew and what it leads for people to do during the night, I would put that at X to power 3. In other words, in terms of the effect that the lifting of curfew is likely to have to the rise of COVID-19 cases, if you compare to all the other activities that people are engaged in during the day, lifting of curfew has a smaller risk, is a smaller risk
to the
factor.
point of being significant or smaller to the point of being completely insignificant?
No, it is significant, but it's not as significant as everything else. If we ended up supposing that your prophecy comes to pass, and we went into another lockdown, it should never be attributed to this lifting of curfew. We should look at what else is happening. It's the political meetings. How did we talk about the second or third wave? After the meeting in Kisumu, Kisii and then Kisumu,
yes, and
the Madaraka Day event, we saw a spike, and a huge spike in Nyanza.
We did.
Did we attribute it to curfew?
Nope.
It was because of this gathering. Gathering not just in the stadium, but gathering in Kisumu and gathering in all those other places that the president and his brother had gone and held meetings. So I am here saying curfew lift good, because it brings back another aspect of the economy. Let's not just look at it at people drinking. Let's look at bus companies that shut down because of the effect of curfew.
Right. Look at people
because they could not travel at night.
And people who had to travel at night because they didn't have time during the day to go and conduct business.
There you go.
So the night time was the only time they could travel.
It's the best time to travel.
They wake up in the morning, they're going to do whatever they needed to do. They now are losing days because they can't travel at night. Look at people who service industries only at night. Look at people who work. That's a huge percentage of the economy that had gone to naught. So we're saying, look, I have always been saying that we must find ways of protecting the people when it came to COVID. But if you're going to allow these huge gatherings that we are seeing, hundreds of thousands of people gathering in places in different parts of the country, then what rationale are you using from stopping people who were earning at night? Open it up. Like you say, entire companies shut down. People lost their livelihoods completely. Not half, not in-house, not takeaway service, completely shut down. Not you can travel for a couple of hours during the night. No, they shut down. Fleets of buses now parked because they cannot move.
Yep.
Right? So if we are going to say that on this side, whereby you can have these gatherings, you can have these rallies, it's been open, by the way. We never saw a time when, because remember, in the raft of measures, these political gatherings had been what? They'd been banned.
By the way, they were not unbanned.
Exactly. Yep. That's what I'm saying. We had never seen a time where it was announced and they stood on the podium and they told us, actually, you know what? From today, we are releasing our hold on these political gatherings and we're saying, from now you may go on. No. It just morphed into what we saw it now, when we saw that everybody was coming back together. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to allow it on that end, then allow it for the Kenyan on a daily basis who was looking for bread. Allow it. And yes, at the same time, allow it for people who want to go outside and have a good time because they've been pent up in frustration for the last 2 years and have not been able to do anything. Allow it.
And look at it from the other angle as well. As all these people are out there getting entertained, there are people who are serving them. These are people who are working, earning a wage on a daily basis. There are people who are working. It's employment to so many people who did not have that employment. It had been yanked by COVID, not by the government. Let's agree. Yes, it was a necessary step for the government to take. Now, it's a necessary step for the government to actually consider and say, let's lift the curfew. Are we going to see an increase? Are we likely to see an increase in the number of bus accidents and accidents on the road at night? Yes. But it's because people are on the road. Are we likely to see increase in the cases of drink driving? Yes. But are we also likely to see people like Nderito who says, as a businessman, I only need 1 day to go from Nairobi to Eldoret and come back by the end of the following day. In the morning, the best decision is to lift the curfew. You leave Nairobi at night, arrive Eldoret, transact your business, get onto the next bus. By evening, back in Nairobi. Following day, open your business, continue.
The other time, you couldn't do that because you would travel
Go
during the day.
there.
You can't come back. You spend the night, do your business the next day. Again, you can't come back. You finish what you're doing, and then you have to wait until the next day before you start coming back. You've spent 3 days, whereby here, you can do it in one.
And those 3 days also means that you pay for accommodation. You're paying for food. It's cost.
It was
it's
about
a cost
time.
and a cost and a cost.
Countries around the world are telling us how they have made the decision, in as much as we understand what an ugly face COVID had in terms of what we had to deal with in terms of treatment for people. We have to realize that maybe we ought to just live with this thing now. What can we do to make sure that we can protect our people? But in terms of opening up social places, bars, restaurants, open them. Open them, let's be careful.
The countries you speak of, what percentage of the population have they vaccinated?
Well, Australia, for example, vaccinated, I think at the last time was 64%. America, 71%. Yes, huge percentages of their population. And this is what I'm saying.
And they're continuing. And what percentage are we at?
4.6.
Precisely. So you're talking about countries that have opened up their countries for business because the people have been protected. You're talking about people who've been fully vaccinated, not partially. Those percentiles. Now, we are at 4.1%?
6.
4.6. So, 90 plus percent, nada. And then we say, open season, folks. The only 4% of you have been protected. But since we have this situation, let's go ahead with our businesses and may God help.
But we've been going ahead with our business.
Yes, we have.
Even before the vaccinations came in place as
we
a form
have.
of correction, people have been going.
Yes, we have.
People have been going ahead with their businesses.
Yes, we have. But the reason, let me explain my thinking.
Right.
The curfew was not just a restriction in my mind. No. But it was the constant reminder of the protective measures you must take. That is what it did. It reminded you every day. Now, that has been removed. With that removal...
You still have a mask. That reminds you every day because you have Kanjo, you have police, you have everybody. You enter an establishment, you enter a supermarket, they tell you put on your mask.
And
you enter a hotel, put on your mask. Anywhere you enter, put on your mask, sanitize. Let's check your temperature. It's a constant reminder. You enter a market, put on your mask. That is actually a bigger constant reminder than the fact that you need to be home at 9.
Actually, let me repeat what I've just said. The curfew wasn't just the restriction at night. The curfew was, in my mind, that reminder of the COVID rules that you need to apply in your life. What am I saying? I am saying this. In addition to the example that you've given, which I agree with, all this caution, you remove curfew, what you've actually done is informed people, throw caution to the wind. That's what I am actually saying. That we are going to have a far more difficult time with the cautious nature we've been approaching COVID with now. That's what I am saying.
People are going to be more relaxed now.
People are going to be infinitely more relaxed. Not more relaxed, infinitely more relaxed.
Infinity, buana. Infinitely, no. You just change the word.
No, I'm not
10
changing
times
it.
say something like
I'm
that.
not going to change it.
15 times infinitely more relaxed.
Yes, when we have a spike and the numbers are alarming is when we'll probably get another wake-up call. But before then, why don't we wait for the disaster to occur and then we can have this discussion further. But on the other hand, why don't we ask our listeners what they think?
Yes. 0719-012-600. Lifting of the national curfew. Do you support this? Are there any downsides to it? We'd like to hear from you. 0719-012-600. I can see Nderito is basically saying, let us be happy and breathe again, actually. The kawaida mwananchi does not fear COVID.
Does not fear COVID. Even as talk about that, can I tell you about the Nairobi Marathon?
Please tell us about
All
the
right.
Nairobi Marathon.
The Standard Chapter Nairobi Marathon is happening this month on the 31st of October. Remembering it didn't happen last year, so giving an opportunity for folks to run for good of the society. And this year, a great addition is the virtual marathon. It takes place between the 25th, which is Monday, and the 31st of October. So what you need to do is sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings. And you can then run from wherever you are or have designated hotspots around the city. And you will receive a race kit that includes a shirt, medal, and a bag. And you can collect these at KICC or other selected hotspots. So remember, you can also run on the physical day, which is the 31st of October. It's going to take place on the Southern Bypass this year because, clearly the expressway has spoiled the other route now. So that means giving an opportunity to run for the youth of the country. It'll also be aired on KTN Home live that day. So an opportunity for you to run on the 31st and also for you to run virtually and send your timings in.
Start and finish at Carnival Grounds.
Carnival Grounds.
Runs on the Southern Bypass.
Exactly.
Coming all the way to the ICD, and then on the other side, you go all the way to the Ngong Road Junction. 42 kilometers of this. Zachary is on the line. Zachary, good morning.
Oh, morning everyone there.
Hi.
Morning, Zachary.
Good morning, Zachary.
Morning, Walimandro, our sister Du, and Mr. Eric there, the agent provocateur. Now, I tell you that I actually move around, although not like Kenya.
Yeah.
I go around looking for business and interacting with people. And I told you that when in my next life, I'm sure I'm going to be a journalist, yeah? Because I interact with people and talk with them. And in particular, I've been very concerned about how people are viewing COVID-19 and what is their history with it, yeah? On Tuesday, before the curfew was lifted, I happened to be traveling in a certain Uber car, yeah?
Yep.
And there was an elderly lady there, roughly 54 years. And the driver of the car was a young man. He was sitting in the front with a young lady there. And at the back, you are sitting me, another elderly lady, and another young lady.
This is a taxi.
Pardon?
This was a taxi.
Yeah, it was a taxi. They've taken somebody somewhere who had now asked for it. And then when they are going back, they actually go carrying people, yeah?
Okay.
And I asked I don't know what happened when they introduced the idea of COVID. And what about, we expect the president now to lift the curfew tomorrow? Okay, they were in support of it. But then I asked them, like you in particular, the driver, have you been vaccinated? Oh, Mr. Eric, let me tell you, only me and that elderly lady who had taken the vaccine. The other three who are youngsters, and you know when the curfew is lifted, these are the people who are going to be so much excited and they want to be out at night, yeah?
Yes.
And I took time to ask each of them, why have you not been vaccinated? And I do not want to state the reasons that they gave. But in particular, the driver and the lady, they were sitting at the front, the young lady was sitting at the front. They actually said they are not going to be vaccinated. Oh. And then I asked the guy, are you not worried that you may even carry a person, or you may have a customer who is from a far-flung place and they are trying tourist, and he or she is coming from a COVID, hotspot, yeah? He said, no, I'm energetic. So let me just simplify by saying this, yeah?
So they're saying they are not willing to even consider getting a vaccine?
No, they are not. They are not. And these are the characters that they jumped up and down and jumped and due the COVID, the curfew has been lifted. These are the transmitters. So I actually concur with Walimandro there when he says that we should be ready for very large numbers.
Yeah.
Very large numbers. And I think what the government should have done, it should instead of lifting the curfew, because as Mwalimu has rightly said there, the curfew was a constant reminder that we are in danger. That we are in danger. Yeah? What the government should have done is to actually intensify the education, the information. Oh, go get vaccinated. And even would have told it such kind of characters. Okay, you are saying that you want us to open the curfew, yeah? To leave the curfew, yeah? Now what we are going to do, we are going to introduce what we call a COVID vaccination certificate. That every bar or every bus will require, okay, do you want to travel at night, okay, or you want to get into this bar?
Prove that you've been vaccinated.
That you have been vaccinated.
Okay.
You want to be in the transport business, okay, show us the certificate, show us that you have been vaccinated, yeah?
Okay. Thank
But
you.
now, Mr. Eric, let me tell you, we are ready. Let us get ready for those numbers and let us get ready for even longer periods of curfew.
Okay. Thank you, Zachary.
That would be my take. Thank you.
Good day. Millicent, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Ndu and City.
Good morning, Millicent.
Hey, good job as always.
Sante.
Now I want to agree with the Mr. City, my elder from the village.
Mm-hmm. Your village elder.
Numbers are going. My village elder. City on a light note. Anyway.
No, I like the term. This village elder thing sits very well with me. Thank you.
It's okay. Now I agree with you that the numbers are going to spike.
Mm-hmm.
Kabisa. But
Because
now
of lifting of the curfew.
Yes, it's going to contribute. The way City has explained it, this virus, I don't know the term you use, but
spreads.
It spreads in a confined place. And now we are going to get people getting late in the bus. The traveling, we are going to be locked in a bus from Nairobi to Kisumu for all those long hours. You don't know the status of a person you're sitting next to. Some of them, they remove their mask along the journey. So it's going to spike. But the responsibility lies with us Kenyans. It's us to behave responsibly and follow the protocols. And above everything, we need to get vaccinated. And then, Eric, there's something I wanted to make right that I even followed up on the socials, on your timelines. When I spoke to you on Monday, and I was giving you the dates I took the vaccine, and I just came to realize I really made a big mistake. Yeah, the first vaccine, I took it in April 6th. The other one was in August. So, Ndu,
yes,
you'll help
April
me.
6th and August.
April 6th and August 10th. And August 10th, yeah.
Okay.
So, I wanted to make that right. Otherwise, you're doing a good job and have a good weekend ahead.
Thank you, sister.
Have a lovely weekend as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Kenya's biggest conversation at 27 minutes to 10. Let's take this quick break and take a look at the weather and traffic situation before we pick more of your calls. 0719-012-600. The president has lifted the curfew. The country is breathing with a sigh of relief. But are there any downsides to the lifting of the curfew? Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your... ...24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
And now we're in a society where men have become very lazy. They have made people's daughters become mamafuas. You know mamafua? Yes. That you come to a man's house, maybe you went out or you've come for a weekend. You find all his shirts in his laundry basket. Yeah. He was waiting for you to
come and
are you
them.
his wife? Including his inner garments.
Right, yeah.
Ladies, stop doing that.
Let me
Those
tell
are
you.
wifely duties, and even some wives don't
That's
do them.
literally what I was about to say. I was wondering, there's even some wives who refuse to do that.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
On your mark. Set.
The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is back. Virtual Marathon and Elite Marathon. Sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings only and run from wherever you are or from select hotspots around Nairobi. To register, visit www.nairobimarathon.com. Choose your preferred distance from 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, or 42 kilometers, and decide the day you will run between 25th and 31st October 2021. To track your run, download and use the Strava app. When you register, you will receive a race kit.
Forgiveness is always conditional. Even before God,
There's nothing like unconditional forgiveness.
Government doesn't pay you pension until you retire. In fact, they have no money for you. The day you retire, they look for it.
This country is punishing many young people. These young people are more susceptible to be deceived, to be taken advantage of, and they're more susceptible to be bought off.
Let us also talk about where we want our country to go. You know, we are a population of very young people.
We're in a state of capture. The judiciary is under duress. Parliament is in the pocket of the executive. You don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so.
By the way, let me tell you, these guys are so persuasive. I'm telling you, they can persuade you to sell your grandmother. I'm telling you, they can sell sand in the desert.
Cece, has anybody on this program said to you as a guest, saying, "Oh, shut up, we don't want to be told what to do"? Has anybody that kind of... Has anybody been
I will not listen.
A bit of advice. Because you're working on the premise that we should all pay heed to these proverbs. It's a very suspect notion.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, a few clouds in Nairobi this morning at 19, highs of 25 and lows of 15. Partly sunny conditions at 19 in Nakuru, highs of 26. We'll see highs of 24 in Nyeri, where it's raining at 18. And in Eldoret, it's sunny, going to highs of 24 today. We'll see lows of 13. Kisumu is sunny at 24, highs of 29 and lows of 19, while in Kakamega it's partly sunny at 25, highs of 28 and lows of 15. We're seeing partly sunny conditions at 28 in Mombasa, highs of 30. We'll see highs of 30 as well in Malindi, where it's partly sunny, currently at 28. All right, Kampala, there's a haze over the city, 22 degrees, highs of 28 and lows of 17. We're looking at mostly cloudy conditions at 13 in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 12. Dar es Salaam is partly sunny at 27 with highs of 30. And we'll see partly sunny conditions at 25 in Lagos, highs of 30 and lows of 24. It continues to rain in Kinshasa at 25, highs of 30 and lows of 23. It's sunny in Beijing, highs of 18 and lows of 2. And as we look into Paris, 3 degrees and clear, highs of 14 and lows of 3 today. 7 degrees and cloudy in London, lows of 6 and highs of 14, and we'll wrap things up in the Big Apple. It's mostly cloudy at 20, seeing those as highs and lows of 13 today. All right, things are dulling down just a little bit on these Nairobi streets. We see traffic and then looking a lot smoother coming off Mombasa Road. It wasn't too bad today. And we're also seeing it easing up quite some on the Thika Superhighway. That Pangani stretch, though, is just where traffic has built quite some. Uhuru Highway also looking a lot better now. At least just pockets of traffic as we look along. Langata Road is where it still remains heavy, going towards Aerodrome and then out towards the city. We're out of traffic hour officially, but we'll look at those problem areas here and there. Should you run into anything, let us know, guys, and we can spread the word on SpiceFM KE on Twitter, 40127 via text.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
minutes to 10, Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues. So, do you support the move to lift the curfew? Are you happy that the curfew has been lifted? Do you think there are other concerns that have now been raised? Let's go down to Nairobi. Steve is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Eric.
Morning to you, Steve.
Good morning, Ndu. Good morning, Mr. City Muga.
Good morning, Steve.
Yes, I'd like to vehemently disagree with City Muga about this matter. Yes, because, for example, he's talking about confined spaces and people in bars in confined spaces. Number one, matatus have already been, been authorized to carry full capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's a more confined space than your normal bar or restaurant.
Yep.
See? And they've already been operating full capacity. We've not heard of any spike in cases and things like that. In fact, I think we're down to 3%. if I'm not wrong. Yes.
Of what?
And I also like to
positivity rate.
Positivity rate we were below 3. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And these people have been operating in full capacity. 14-seater matatu is very cramped, you see. And we don't see this kind of thing. And people. I'd like also to comment about the few callers who called about the people who do not want to vaccinate. You see, it cuts across the board. It's not only the old people. I mean, not only the young people who are against. So he cannot come and say that. You see, it's these young people who are virus carriers and they do not want to be vaccinated. So you see, it's a bit more skewed. See, the people who are anti-vaccination, it cuts across the board. You see. Yes, and also another thing, if lifting of this extending these hours for the people who are in bars and restaurants. They've been there, for example, they've been there from maybe 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. already. They've already been together, and that's been how it has for the last couple of months. So adding a few more hours, I don't see the difference. If they were spreading, they would already spread within that period of time. So you see, that's my take.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
What percentage of people would you think are out at night at midnight?
I'm not going to give you percentages. I'm going to paint a picture for you. You see, when you look at the huge crowds that gather, say, on Mashujaa Day or on some of these public holidays, the visual impact is something to behold. You look at these rallies, and in the recent past, the rallies that we've seen, where the former Prime Minister and the Deputy President have been holding rallies, and the numbers that we see. But there's something that we forget. It is an incident done, okay? It's not as though you have these rallies every single day.
Yeah.
When you open up the country and you lift the curfew, what you've done is what you see on that one day will be replicated in smaller pockets every single day.
Smaller pockets.
Yes. And
not same people necessarily.
No. Not necessarily the same people, but the capacity for people to gather has been increased and replicated on a daily basis, Monday to Monday. And it happens every day, and you have longer hours to do it. So if you're looking at frequency...
But now, City, that's what I was asking you.
Yes.
If you compare in terms of numbers, just anecdotally, how many people would you find out in a club, in a bar, in a nightclub at 1 a.m.?
Let's forget the bar story, because the bar seems...
in a confined place, because this is where the risk is highest, right?
Yes, it is.
In a confined space,
yes,
in a bar.
At
night.
Eric, I actually outlined it and said any social gatherings that we previously had, I even outlined
them. The social gathering. So bar, kesha. Those are the two ones.
Kesha, funerals.
At
night. I'm asking about at night. Here we're looking at, we are going to have an increased number of people who are in a confined place at midnight than we had on Monday.
If we preface it...
That was not my conversation.
Because what you're saying...
That was not my conversation.
What we are saying is that there was curfew. The curfew was between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m.
Yes.
Now we are saying that we are at greater risk because we have removed that curfew, thereby giving more people access to the atmosphere
2 a.m. hour
at whatever hour during the night. So when we are saying are there now going to be more people gathering, whether it's in smaller pockets, during these night hours?
Yes.
Than there are at 2 a.m. versus 2 p.m.
2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes. What I'm saying is this, my argument, I premised it on two factors. One, the psychological effect of the curfew, meaning the curfew was a constant reminder of the social rules that you needed to adhere to because of COVID. That was one premise. Premise number two, when you open up the economy, when you lift the curfew specifically, what you've then done is you've then told people also that the activities that previously they were cautious about, caution has now been taken the wind. They can now gather in greater numbers and with greater frequency. Note. Now, I am saying that, yes, the rallies contributed to the spikes in COVID, and I'm saying the opening is going to do precisely that. It's going to augment it, and it's going to get higher. If that one lifted it high, this one is going to make sure that it becomes stratospheric. That's all I'm saying.
Major Samuel is on the line. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. I'm Major Samuel.
Major Samuel, your line has an issue. Good morning.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Not clearly. Not clearly.
Why, and I'm somewhere.
Okay, just try with a different line. Getahi in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm very much fine.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, the two gentlemen and a lady.
Mm.
My name is Gitai Kanyeki. I'm a police officer with the National Police Service.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I like the discussion that is going on, which includes my good friend Muga, whom we met in 2011, long time ago somewhere. I know he can't remember.
Kanyeki, I remember you very, very well. You great man from Kirinyaga. How are you, sir?
Not Kirinyaga. I'm from Nakuru.
Do not worry. Kirinyaga isn't far from Nakuru.
Okay.
Why did I place you in Kirinyaga?
I don't know why you placed. Maybe you had gone for the Mashujaa Day.
No. I know.
He's been arrested by two
I know. I placed you in Kirinyaga. Were you with the AP services?
That is the person. I am still there.
And at the time I met you, you were fairly high up in the. I know why.
I know that psychological conference center in Catholic
Yes,
University.
there was a problem in Kirinyaga which you helped me resolve.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I remember I assisted you there.
Kanyeki, I remember you. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing very well. I used to work in the Internal Affairs Unit.
Yes.
But previously I was at Administration Police Headquarters. Right now I'm at the National Police Service Senior Staff College.
It's very nice to reacquaint myself with you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also thank you very much for what you did to me that time when I was very young. Now I'm very old.
Good.
Now, gentlemen and a lady, this is the greatest discussion that I would want to hear from all the Kenyans. I'm not opposing the opening of the curfew. But if you just go to my WhatsApp profile, I have put some words there that opening of the curfew is not an opening of everything, because this thing called COVID-19 is real. I'm telling you, gentlemen and lady and the listeners, Corona is live. It has taken my friends, my colleagues. And I want to agree with one contributor who actually said there is a need of people being informed on how to go about it. For me as a police officer, I'm actually happy that there are people out there who are taking care of them. It's not about the business. It's not about the business. It's about our health. We need to remember what we saw in Italy when this thing started, what we saw in those Scandinavian countries, how people were dying. And the other day I was discussing with a person and I was very angered by one young man who told me that COVID ni ya matajiri. Inagonga tu watu ya Runda, Muthaiga, Nakuru Milimani, lakini sisi watu wa mtaani haitugongi. That is a very dangerous talk. We have seen, just because maybe us the common people are not able to go for this testing, we think that we are not able to get this COVID. But I would like to advise the Kenyans, however much the curfew has been opened, people can go to those gatherings. I just pray that one would wash his or her hands, one would remember to do the distancing, one would remember to use the masks very well. And if you don't need to go to any gathering, I don't see why you should go there. Gentlemen and lady, I'm talking from my heart. This thing is live, and if we don't take care, it's not about going back to the curfew.
But let me ask you, Kanyeki.
You will lose a lot of people.
Let me ask you, Kanyeki.
Ask me, my brother.
What greater risk are we facing now that the curfew has been lifted?
Ignorance.
Whose?
Ignorance. Young people are saying hii ugonjwa ni ya wazee.
But they were saying this before the curfew was lifted.
Yes, it was lifted, but now you can imagine that young man coming out of the house, going and he might be thinking that he's so immune. Ameibeba kwa mikono kwa whatever, anapelekea mzee wake. I think we need awareness. Even I can propose that we have a ministry of COVID-19. Just to educate
people.
Just to educate people.
Okay.
Just to educate people, my brothers and sisters.
We hear you.
So for me, I am saying, Kenyans, let's not think it's about business. Also, let us take care of our own deeds.
It's our life.
That's what I can say.
Thank you very much, Kanyaki.
Thank you.
Gore in Nairobi.
Yes, this is Vemo Gore, but I've decided to go mute on Odhiambo because I realize that when I say Odhiambo Gore, you very tend to capitalize on Odhiambo so much. Now, Odhiambo does not speak of the spirit in me.
It does not capture the Gore spirit.
Yeah, the Gore is the one that holds the spirit. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, then but to begin with, let me take this time to salute all of you, the three of you. Zachary calls you City, Ndu, no, sorry. He says Ndu, City, and Eric, or something like that. Now, if I may want to understand the debate well, the program you are running is meant to have some objective or objectivity. Now, I am, it's a bit unfortunate, you'll have to pardon me for this comment. I am failing to see the objectivity behind this debate. The debate itself is quite good in my judgment. But the timing of the debate, to me, misses the point. Because if one may ask, yes, we are holding a debate. What's the point behind this debate? What do we want to achieve? Now, I think this particular debate should have been more relevant before the lifting of the curfew, so that the end result of this would have contributed to provision of, alternative, or rather, alternative view, or rather both sides of the curfew. That we are looking at the curfew in context of economic, recovery.
Yes.
But the other side of it would be that it would be this way. It would have some impact like this and that and that and that. So, before the president makes the announcement, the two sides of the argument should be put into consideration. But now, if we did not do it at that time, now we are doing it after the president has lifted the curfew. Are we, in a way, trying to say that the president should reconsider what he did? And
that is precisely what I am saying.
Yeah, which is a good thing, but it's wrongly placed. It now becomes an afterthought. Becomes as a result of an afterthought, which is you understand probably maybe as I do that getting the head of state to make some of these decisions is not easy because there are so many interested parties.
Yes.
There are people who want the curfew to continue. You wonder, if you look at I was listening to the newspaper review today. The police are complaining. They are not happy that the curfew has been lifted because it denies them the additional income they were making. Now, when you bring in this kind of argument after the president has made and then there is also the political angle to it. Now, when you bring it after the president has made a statement, and should he be convinced, or should this debate manage to convince him? Again, reconvincing him to lift it in future will also be a challenge.
It may not necessarily, Gore Japonj, it may not necessarily be for him to reconsider and bring back the curfew. But you notice there's something else that's emerging out of this conversation. And what else is emerging here is the need to keep the guard up. Yes, the curfew has been lifted, but what are the fears? Are the fears still present? Are they not? CT's argument is actually saying that because of the lifting of the curfew, the unwanted effect of this would be that people will lower their guards even further. The police officer Gitai Kanyeki, who was just called, he's saying the same thing. Those who are supporting it are saying, yeah, we are operating from the premise of we are not going to change our guard, but at least we'll be able to earn and operate. Are you seeing what the conversation is now bringing at this point, after the fact?
Now, then element of sense of maturity. I'm sorry to bring that angle. You pardon me if I'm not kind, if I'm not fair with my language. You pardon me for that. Now, element of sense of maturity. COVID is call it a disease or what or whatever it is. Now, the way it has behaved or the way it started, in my view, again, had a lot to do with nature. The contribution of nature was more than what the eyes of the human being could see. Now, basically my argument is that where in those countries where technology is so high and the alertness is so high, it was killing people more. Now, if somebody wanted to argue that Africa was not affected so much because of the geographical location, it was killing blacks in America, or rather in Brazil, which shares equatorial region with Africa, and the blacks there were dying in large numbers. If somebody wants to say that, you see, COVID was not so high, rate was not so high in Africa because of the black skin pigmentation, it was killing black Americans in large numbers.
Just hold your thought for a single second. The trajectory the trajectory of your argument makes sense because you're giving
I'm going to lose the point I wanted to make.
It's a bit long-winded. I'd like you to actually give us a summary.
Yeah, Gord, we have a minute to the end of the show.
Fine. The finishing part of it is this: that when we talk about COVID and when we are arguing, we probably may politely be, or rather try to be kind to create space for nature and say, okay, come up with us. We are doing the administrative part as human beings. What is the role of nature?
Okay. Gord,
so let me raise my argument.
Very good. Thank you very much for always calling to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Lovely day and lovely weekend.
Yes, thank you so much.
Asante. Coming to the end of the show, remember tomorrow, it's a weekend. Olivia 00 Direct will be here with a climate change conversation, pathways for advancing a just transition in Kenya in responding to the climate crisis. She'll have 4 women guests on the show having this conversation. Join up from 10. It's Monday is when the Sunset virtual run starts.
The virtual Standard Charter Marathon actually starts Monday. So between Monday and Friday next week, actually between Monday and Sunday next week, you can actually sign up for that and run virtually or run on the physical day, which is the 31st of October. So get registering and get doing that and be able to post your times virtually this year. A change in the Nairobi Standard Chartered Marathon.
Have a lovely weekend, folks. We'll see you again on Monday, God willing. Remember, now until 11, you have Uninterrupted Music, and then Sugar and Spice comes in at 11 until 2, and then Edward Quach takes you home on Spice Drive from 3 to 7. The adults in the room are always here, Monday to Friday, and they'll be here again today. And then tomorrow, you have 00 Direct with Olivia Otieno from 10 a.m. She'll have a good conversation on climate and climate conversations. A very good morning to you. It's now 10 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The National Olympic Committee says strategies have been put in place to curb the use of steroids among athletes. Speaking at the Eldoret City Marathon Awards 3rd edition, NOC President Jackson Tuwewi said that there was only need for athletes to focus on discipline in order to compete in various categories.
We are committed to ensure that we organize a clean race. We therefore partner with Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya in our races to test athletes to ensure those who attempt to cheat are caught.
Meanwhile, Standard Group MD Joe Munene, who was also present, said the economy of sports can transform our nation. He further said that the media house had invested much in sports industry as it was full of talented youth.
One of the key pillars that we've identified is in the area of the sports sector. And if you look at our content right across, we are aspiring to be a very strong pillar as far as the sports is concerned. We believe that sports has immense potential. The economy of sports can actually transform this nation. The young people have a lot of energy, a lot of talent, and one of the key ways that that talent and energy is tapped is through sports.
Slain athlete Agnes Tirop is set to be buried tomorrow at her parents' home in Nandi County. She was found dead with a stab wound on the neck, and the court has ordered that her boyfriend Ibrahim Rotich be detained for investigations into her death to be finalized. The family of Tirop has issued tough warnings to the family of Rotich, warning them not to appear during her funeral tomorrow.
Huyo mtu alikuja kutorosha mtoto kutoka shule. Basi na nilipiga ripoti kwa polisi. Akatorosha kabisa sijui miezi 6. Basi vile anatorosha mtoto wakatuma polisi wakashika sisi. Tukalala shule. Hata mimi sijui wazazi yake. Mimi sijui hata kwao sijui.
Akajaribu kumwambia Agnes, utanipea 40,000. Agnes akamwambia hakuna shida. Sasa venye alikuwa anamwambia hakuna shida, mimi nilikuwa naosha nguo hapo nje ya mazoezi. Agnes akaingia kwa nyumba.